right, so now we have
Hey,
Dave
Justin.
Evans on. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. And we can hear
Absolutely.
you crystal clear, so that's excellent.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Dave's excellent. He works with us and he's been an extremely accomplished just professional for his whole life. And he has an amazing story about his journey with cancer and how he treated it using conventional and holistic therapies. It's really powerful, and I'm so excited for him to be able to share it today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there's a couple of aspects to this. First there's obviously the story itself. And then there's the things that constituted the treatment, recovery and that sort of thing. But then I think there's even a greater part of the story, what I learned as a result and the value of this whole thing. As you'll see as I get into the story, one of the things that I referred to when I wrote this out or really sat down and thought about it over the past year was cancer, far from being some kind of a death sentence or things like that, which I think from a stigma perspective is how a lot of us certainly tend to perceive it. People that have not had experience with this, or maybe have had experiences with this, but it really turned out to be quite a blessing. In that as an adult, it's relatively rare that you get the opportunity to really look at yourself like way down deep and ask yourself, what do you need to bring to this fight to win? What do you need to do? And we talk about this, like find another gear or go someplace or shift into something and it's rare that we get this opportunity. And literally, this was my opportunity to look at things that way. And that's the thing more than anything else that has left me with sort of a permanent benefits of this whole experience. But let me get into the story a little bit. So very active, as Justin mentioned. There's the typical sort of I don't know that I would describe myself as high performance, but it's like it's certainly sort of in that realm. Always pushing, always working, always traveling, always doing things, always sort of on to the next thing. We kind of drive ourselves like that. And I had the good fortune of literally spending, I can remember the times that I was in the hospital in my life. When I was 5 years old, I got my tonsils out. Scariest part of that was the nurses coming in the middle of the night to try to change my pajamas. I was like freaking out. There were a couple of other little events, very minor things. I broke a bone water skiing, and it was like, I might have spent a week total in 66 years in some kind of medical context in a hospital or emergency room or whatever. No health issues, regular physicals, decent, real physicals every year, and so on. And I'm just cruising through life. I'm working. My son and I race cars together, and that keeps us active. We travel and do all this sort of stuff. And literally in March of 2022, we were building an electric open wheel race car. And so we were at the track and we were testing it. And, it's in Texas. And so it's 90 degrees or something like that outside. And I'm running back and forth between the garage area and pit lane, as he's on track testing, and we're doing stuff and so on. And so I'm running around and we're doing this stuff. And I felt like I had to urinate. And so I stopped in the men's room, at the clubhouse on the way back to the garage, and couldn't. And I thought, well, that's odd. Like I feel like I have to urinate, but I can't. I was a Boy Scout. We knew all about urine being brown, not drinking enough water, and and those sorts of things. And if you're bleeding, you put something on it. But I'd never come across the issue before. Well, what if I feel like I have to pee, but I can't? But I just, thought, well, I should just drink more water. So I just drank more water, right? And by the end of the day, I really wasn't feeling that great, and kept drinking more water. We drove home drove back to Austin that night. I continued to drink more water. And about the only thing that I noticed was I wasn't urinating and my weight was going up, right? And I watch my weight and things like that. We try to be healthy. And so I'm aware of that. And I see my weight going up. And I'm drinking water, I'm not peeing, my weight's going up. And so I called the doctor and I said, well, I haven't urinated for a few days. And they were like, what? What do you mean you haven't urinated for a few days, right? And I was like, well, is that something I need to worry about? Like it won't just like all of a sudden come out? And they're like, no, you need to go to the hospital like right now. So I had my son drive me to the hospital and I was admitted to the hospital. And I remember, they tried to put in a catheter and they thought, well, maybe his bladder's obstructed or whatever. My creatinine was super high, as you can imagine, if you haven't urinated for a couple of days, right? So my blood's all whacked. Normally it was all very good, right? And they put in a catheter, nothing came out. And I remember hearing the general surgeon, who was in the room with me saying, we can't use dye because his creatinine is too high. There are a couple of lesions that we can see in the MRI, and this may be renal failure. And I heard that and I was kind of like, okay, so I'm 66 at the time. I'm 67 now. 66 at the time, and I thought renal failure. That sounds bad, right? That doesn't sound good. And they did a few more things, and then what ended up happening, and this is a really, really important part of the story, and it's not intended as a knock on the healthcare system, but it's a very important part of the story. The basic diagnosis was, first off, I had a lump growing right here that had started about 2 weeks before. Now, you'd think, okay, wait a second. You got a lump growing in your neck. Why didn't you mention that, right? Well, a couple of years before, I had one over here. I immediately went and got it checked. I noticed that I was traveling. I was in Italy, and I noticed it. As soon as I got back, I got it checked. It was biopsy, dug, poke, all kinds of stuff. And the ultimate result after ultrasounds and MRIs and everything else was, yeah, we don't know what it was. And it just went away, right? So this other one starts, and I'm thinking, oh, great, it's that thing again. It's, whatever that was, lymph nodes inflamed or, whatever. So I wasn't paying attention to it. But I've got this lump growing over here. I can't urinate. There's a lesion on, it looks like a lesion on a kidney, maybe a lesion, below my bladder. It's kind of like, and so on. And then renal failure. And what they're thinking is, this is renal failure, put them on dialysis. So my first week in the hospital, in the first hospital, I was at 3 hospitals altogether. In the first hospital, I'm on dialysis for a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I'm actually thinking, as like a driver, I'm thinking, okay, this is not going to be a problem. I mean, I'm still working full time, right? I can go to dialysis early in the morning, and then I'll go to the office, and everything will be fine. And Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll just kind of do it. Like what I'm really in is shock from what's starting to happen to me. And it's the first time I've had to confront this stuff. So I'm on dialysis, and the lump is still here, and there's still no urine coming out, and so on. But my body now is on dialysis. So that's how my excess fluid and whatnot is being filtered and extracted. I left the hospital without a diagnosis. The parting words of the urologist were, it looks like your kidneys have failed. We could take one out and see what happened. But instead of doing that, let's just wait 6 months and we'll see where we are, right? And I leave the hospital. In the meantime, this lump has finally been biopsied, because the other thing about this first session was all of the care was sequential. So instead of looking at me and saying, here's all the stuff that's going on, what fits us, it was like, okay, we have a problem down here. Let's sort this out. We'll get to that one later, which, as you can imagine, starts to miss the mark. So I left that hospital and went to dialysis at a, outside facility at a Da Vinci clinic. And there I had, like one of my first blessings, one of my first good fortune events was the nephrologist who was on staff there. He's going through the papers, and it's like I'm one of the other people who's in dialysis, and he's kind of like, okay, you think, okay, they're checking insurance forms and this kind of stuff. He's actually reading my charts. And he walks over to me and he says, so what's the story here? What's your treatment plan? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, according to the instructions I got, this is my treatment plan. It's like, so I'm going to do this. And he said, no, 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 no. I mean, like, what are we doing to solve the problem? And I said, well, what are you talking about? They told me my kidneys had failed. And he's like, no. He said, but they're going to if you don't do something. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? You mean I don't have to do this stuff for life? Like, you mean they're gonna fail, but they have like I'm hearing this for the first time. He says, you need a second opinion now. And he directed me to another facility with another urology team and so on. And in the meantime, the biopsy had come back from Mayo. Coincidentally, Mayo happened to do the biopsy. Biopsy comes back, and I have large diffuse B-cell lymphoma, and I've got this issue, and they realize what's happened is the excess proteins from the lymphoma have overrun my kidneys. My kidneys are totally plugged up. They're not doing anything. They're not dying. They're just plugged, right? And so the second urology team then immediately put in nephrostomy tubes, stents, and so on. Within a couple of hours, I had produced 2 liters of clear yellow urine, right, which was amazing. Within 24 hours, all my blood, my creatinine, everything was back where it's supposed to be. And my body's in recovery from that portion of this issue. Obviously, the lymphoma now has to be dealt with, right? Because now we actually understand what's causing this. And I mention this because it's so important to get that second opinion and to think through things and to not just accept what you're told. It's not to say question everything the doctor tells you, because you plus Google probably know more than that person does. I don't care how many Holiday Inn Expresses you stay in, your medical team is still one of the places where you get your answers, right? But in saying that, it's also really important to understand what's happening to you and to bring all of the things that you know about yourself to the table. Very often we don't talk about what's wrong with us, or what our history is, or so on. It's kind of like, as a man, it's like, I feel good, I'm always good. It's like wait a second, there's actually things wrong with you. Let's talk about what they are, because those could be clues, right? And so you start having these more frank discussions. So I started into my initial lymphoma treatment, and first session, within 24 hours, the lump gone, right? It just goes away. And after one session, the tumors that were visible are shrinking, and I'm getting various scans and so on, and doing this stuff. And then in the meantime, I had planned to move to Florida anyway from Texas. Was then invited to come to Mayo, and so we transferred. We came to Florida, came to Mayo, and I'm thinking this is all pretty good, right? Because I'm no longer on dialysis. I'm urinating normally. Everything's fine. I'm in treatment for lymphoma. Lymphoma is a highly treatable form of cancer. This is all really good. And then I got the second hit. When we got to Mayo, what was clear about my diagnosis was this was not ordinary B-cell lymphoma. This was B-cell lymphoma with smoldering myeloma, which, as you know, is a much more aggressive form. It also has a very different outcome profile. And so the treatment that I was on, the R-CHOP treatment that I was on, is designed for ordinary lymphoma, right? Standard lymphoma. The benefit of being at Mayo was the oncologist that I worked with there immediately recognized, no, you will see benefit from that, but you will probably see recurrence at some point sooner than you'd like to see recurrence, right? I mean, I don't want to see recurrence at all. And so I switched to a little bit more severe R-EPOCH, a dose-adjusted treatment. And it basically, dose-adjusted means they give you as much of this stuff as you can stand, and then they increase it, and then they increase it, and then they increase it, and they sort of find out like where is your actual limit for what your body will take. I had the good luck of being in reasonably good shape, so I was able to actually withstand everything. And we went through that treatment. I finished up the our epoch treatment, and then after that, had a treatment with methotrexate, which is sort of designed with the R epoch. One of them reduces the lymphoma, gets everything else out, and then the methotrexate makes sure that there's not going to be CNS involvement and other things later on, right? It's a sort of prophylactic for that. So those things work really well together. As I was going through this, and when I initially started, I had the good fortune of a neighbor who, if you know, Jim Garinger is one of the founders of FICO Playbook. He happened to be my neighbor. And he said, you need this as well. And I talked to my doctors about it, and they were all like, yes, absolutely. Anything that you can do that brings you benefit in your treatment, you should be doing this. And I think there were two distinct benefits. If you saw Justin's previous webinar on FICO, what's in it, how it works, and things like that, there are indications of efficacy there, right? There's an indication of benefit there. There's also a second piece of that, though, that is really, really important. As soon as I started into that part of my treatment, which I did right away, right? Even when I was at the first hospital, as soon as I started into that, I shifted from sort of passenger, I'm going along, here's the stuff that's happened, now I'm being told what to do, and I guess I should just do this, to somebody who's actually not in control of things, because clearly in a disease like this, we're not in control of this, right? It's happening to us, and it's up to us to navigate this. But I was a participant instead of a passenger, and that mental shift is absolutely huge, especially for cancer patients, because this is going to be a battle, this is going to be a fight, and it's going to last for a while. And if you're going into this like, okay, I did the stuff the doctor told me to do, and now I'm going to go home and just do what I used to do, it's like, you're going to be right back, right? It's not going to work out well. Well, that element of participation becomes really, really important. So now I've got a few things going on. One, strong faith, belief in what's going to happen. I have friends that are praying for me, and so on. And so I've got all this support around me. Absolutely fantastic partner through this. Debbie just like really, really, really stepped up and learning about how this disease works, what to do, what our diet needed to be. I didn't have a bad diet, but then as I realized, a good diet doesn't mean avoiding fast food. Right? That's not the definition of a good diet. Fast food is probably not a good diet, period. But that's really not the definition. Not having fast food isn't the definition of a good diet. And so she looked at what we were eating and so on, eliminated alcohol. So for those of you that know me, my life was traveling around big cities, pictures of cocktails on my Facebook feed and so on. I mean, I love making cocktails and so on. I thought about what this treatment is going to do to my liver, and so on, the load that it's going to place on it. Don't want to give it anything extra to do. And then looked at the sugar content and things like that, and whatnot of alcohol. And so I made a decision: no more alcohol, no more added sugar, plant-based proteins where possible. I mean, I'm not like crazy stringent about this stuff, but we are very disciplined about this. Exercise three times a week. Intermittent fasting, try to eat earlier in the evening, and then go all the way through the next morning without eating anything else. No snacks, no, in the middle of the night, nothing while I'm watching TV and things like that. You get rid of that stuff. My weight, I immediately got rid of the 5 pounds that I'd always kind of wanted to get rid of. That was nice. With the medical marijuana during treatment, my initial weight, my weight is right around 185, and it really would push up to like 190. And I really wanted it 180 to 185. Kind of that's where I feel the best. When I originally had the issue with the water, my weight went to 205, right? Because I'm just retaining all this water. As soon as we got that fixed, and I hit the first treatment, and I'm not really feeling all that great, and so on, my weight dropped to 173. Right. So, it's kind of like, whoa, as soon as I started with the FICO and other things and got my attitude right, got the sleep right, got my appetite where it's supposed to be, and so on, my weight came right back to anywhere from 180 to 185, kind of like right in that perfect range. And it stayed there through my entire treatment. And in fact, this morning I weighed 183. So, all of that stuff really turned out well. So as we're going through this, the things that sort of kept, and I know Jack talks a lot about this as well, the importance of identifying not the things that cause cancer per se, right? Because again, it's not like, well, if I hadn't done this, I wouldn't have had this. I didn't break my leg. I didn't fall off of something and break my leg, right? This is more likely years of environmental exposure, years of stress, years of not eating as well as I could, years of, and so you have to make these changes. If you just go into this and think, okay, I'm going to get this treatment, that treatment, and then I'm good to go, right? It's like, no, it's you're going to be back, right? So I thought about that, and as I said, no alcohol, no added sugar, plant-based proteins. You follow the FICO playbook, the supplements list, and things like that are in there for the shakes and whatnot. I continue to use FICO. I work full time, so I can't do this stuff like during the day and things like that. So I focus that at night, and then CBD or something like that, maybe first thing in the morning to sort of clear. And then all day long, and I'm absolutely fine. So it's important to think about how this stuff fits into your life, how you balance things, how you kind of maintain this. But you come out of this, which was sort of the third thing that I want to talk about. You come out of this with an appreciation for what it means to have been given the opportunity to look at yourself hard inside, all the way to the bottom, and say, what are those things that I've wanted to fix? This is kind of a golden opportunity to do this. So the way I relate to other people, the way I think about myself, the way I look at things, how I eat, how I treat myself, do I do the things that are healthy and so on, and really kind of focus on that. And now I'm in the great spot of friends involved with FICO Playbook. I'm very active with, obviously with the program, continuing to do this. Feel absolutely great. Friends have commented on, I don't know what, I haven't seen you in a while, but man, you look so much better than you used to. And they're not talking about now versus when I was sick. They're talking about now versus when I was healthy, right? Which is really kind of funny. But off we go. So Justin, let's make it a little more interactive and get to some questions. Maybe people have questions and things like that. But
yeah, and also I do need to bring in Jack in a couple of minutes. But yeah, I mean, those are all incredible lessons there about taking control and using the power of nutrition, and also how incredibly supportive your primary care team was. They took really great care of you and amazing treatment. And as of now, I believe you're largely in remission. I believe your myeloma is stable, but the lymphoma is basically gone, correct?
The lymphoma, there's no trace. It's gone. And the myeloma is inactive, and so we just continue to watch and monitor that, and I get regular checkups, and off we go.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's an amazing experience. And yeah, we'll definitely be getting your full story up on the playbook as well, so that people will be able to reference it and see all the details, because there's even more details that there's just not time to get to, but we'll have everything, because you have a really great story that you've written out, and we want to be able to get that out.
Thank you. Hey, Jack.
How you doing?
I'm doing
nice.
Awesome. I'm doing awesome. Jack was one of my inspirations when I first started into this. I remember watching the videos and so on. I want to meet that guy. And now here we are.
So. Here we are, eh?
And we can hear you great now, Jack. So that's awesome.
It's working?
Yeah. So
okay,
I guess now would be a great time for you to jump into your side of the story. When you first were dealing with your pain and injury, and I'll let you take it away, but it's truly a fascinating story, what you've been through and what you've done to control it.
Okie dokie. So my journey started in 1990 when I got injured at work. I was an iron worker, and some steel was falling, and I caught it, kept it from crushing my feet, and I ended up with bilateral carpal tunnel, bilateral ulnar nerve entrapment, 2 torn rotator cuffs, 2 torn bicep tendons. I snapped my leg up this way and tore the meniscus tendon, the cruciate ligament is gone, the cartilage. And so when all that, I had 16 surgeries and pretty much every medication known to man, because after the surgeries and the recovery time and the pain, becoming immobile, I started to gain weight. And all of a sudden now I developed blood pressure issues. I was diabetic, had cholesterol issues. I was overweight. I basically couldn't function. And so with all that, so it was, I was on 180 milligrams of OxyContin, 100 milligrams of morphine, 120 milligram fentanyl patch. I chewed Tylenol number 4 like it was candy. I was eating 20, 30 of them a day. And so what ended up when I fell across my path, and I'll tell you his name was Derek Talasco. And he had introduced me to the decarb cannabis capsules, and which is just cannabis baked at 240 degrees for 45 minutes. And now we've switched it from THCA to the THC Delta 9. And so when he introduced me to those capsules, and at that point in my life, I had a difficult time walking. I pretty much didn't have any use of my upper girdle, and I was in so much pain. I couldn't stand up straight. It was like my back was broken. And so finally, I looked at those capsules for over 4 months, and then finally I took some. I took 4 capsules, and then a few hours later, I took 4 more. A few hours later, I took 4 more. A couple hours later, I took 4 more. And all of a sudden, I started to get the heebie-jeebies. And what was happening, I was going into withdrawal because I hadn't taken any oxy, hadn't taken any morphine, hadn't taken any fentanyl, hadn't taken any diabetes medication. I didn't have to take it because I'm not in any pain. And so then I had to put 2 and 2 together to understand what was happening. And so the cannabis is what actually helped me get off all my medication. In 6 months' time, I was off my oxy, I was off the morphine, I was off the fentanyl, I was off every single medication that I was on. And what was actually happening is when I started to introduce the cannabis, and all of a sudden I'm like this, what's going on? Well, because it was affecting my blood pressure. I was on 5 blood pressure medications. My blood pressure dropped into the toilet. Because cannabis was addressing it. And so here we go. And I thought, okay, so I'm off the blood pressure medication. So again, I experienced the same thing again. Why am I feeling like this? Well, I was going on insulin for my diabetes, and my blood sugar is now into the toilet. I'm on all this diabetes medication, and the cannabis is addressing my diabetes. So then I weaned myself off of that. And so in 3 months, I was off all the opioids. And in the next 3 months, I was off every single medication I was on. And that's when I was told I had bladder cancer. So the bladder cancer, so previous to all this, it was like my back was broken, and they just kept telling me I was old. It's herniated disc, it's pulled muscle, live with it. And so the one day, then finally I passed this blood, and it was in the wintertime. I was out back behind my garage, and I was peeing in the snow, and I just went, oh my God, you know. So away we went on this journey. And when I saw like you're awake when they give you the cysto. So when they went in with the camera, and it was pretty strange looking, let me tell you, because it looked like an octopus. This tumor was hanging down to my bladder. It was the size of a golf ball, and these tentacles were coming off, and they were like rivers of blood. And that was all the blood vessels feeding the tumor. So what I did, because I had heard about cannabis oil. So there aren't very many humans on the planet that can swallow a syringe of pure cannabis oil, pure FECO. And I did. I swallowed almost 6 grams of FECO every single day for a year, and my cancer came back. So now my prostate was involved, and it had moved up into my kidneys. So now I got 3 body parts involved. And so what I hadn't done is I hadn't stepped up to the plate yet. Cannabis did its job for as long as it could. And here's a thing, but you have to look at all your aspects of life. Dave had mentioned it. And so for me, I had to go down that rabbit hole very far, because I was raped by my uncle when I was a little boy, and then living across the street from the house for the last 35 years where it happened. So that's a big sliver. that had to be dealt with, and it just festered and festered and festered until it got to the point. And so all the opioids, everything attributed to what was going on in my life and the surgeries and all and everything that had happened. And so once I had started to address my issues, so I had quantum hypnosis done in order to help me with the rape. The object of the game, now this might sound strange to some people, was to get to my higher self, to take the pain of the little boy and help Jacob heal. That was the object of the game here. The first time when it happened, and we only got as far as my ego because I thought this is what my higher self should look like, a hairy guy like me. So the cancer was gone for a year. I hadn't done my part yet. When I stepped up to the plate, I had to have quantum hypnosis done again, but this time we made connection with everything. So, and this is the bottom line. You have to, nobody can fix this. Nobody. You have to do this all yourself. You're the one. You have to take your health into your own hands. And once I took my health into my own hands, did my own research, and I made educated decisions. Whatever it was that I did, I looked, I researched, I made educated decisions. And when I had come to the decision, there is absolutely nothing in cannabis that is going to hurt me. And everything that I read, that as long as I eat this stuff, I receive benefit. So then I started to eat it. I started to ingest it. I started to use it topically. But the biggest key in the healing of my body was the diet. See, cancer feeds on methionine. We need methionine in our food. So fruits, nuts, vegetables, grains, and beans, the number is 80. So anything above that now feeds cancer directly. So this is how the numbers work. So red meat is 180 units, dairy products is 195, eggs is 240, chicken is 480, fish is 700 off the charts. So methionine, that's what cancer smelling dogs smell. So our hair is directly connected to methionine. And I couldn't figure out, I haven't cut my hair now in 14 years, and this is the length that it is. So I Googled, why is my hair stopped growing? Hair needs methionine. I'm on a methionine restricted diet, hence that's the only reason my hair is that long. Go figure. So it is pretty amazing. And so your food, when we look at the food that we all have access to, none of it has very, very much nutritional value anymore because everything is grown with synthetics. Our body doesn't know what to do with synthetics. That's the problem. When I look at the supplements and everything that I put in my smoothie, that is no longer available in our food. This is the biggest issue. Our food no longer has nutrition. When I got to put ginseng, ginger, hawthorn, alfalfa powder, Ceylon cinnamon, turmeric, black pepper, bromelain, and all that into a smoothie in order for me to get sustenance for my body, it's like, holy smokes. It really is. And the fasting, like Dave had mentioned it, and that is another very important. And see, I didn't even know I was doing it. I never ever gave it a second thought because I would get up at 10 o'clock, I would have my smoothie and I wouldn't eat again until 6 o'clock at night. And that was the last time I put food in my mouth again until 10 o'clock in the morning when I would have my smoothie with my 10 a.m. meeting when the cancer patient was coming. And when I would have my meeting, I always would wait until that time so you can actually see it being prepared before your eyes, that it's all over and done in about 5-6 minutes. Okay? And it's not that hard. And we just think this journey's so hard. It really wasn't hard, was it, Dave?
No, it's a conscious thing.
Yes,
but it's not hard.
No, but it'll be the hardest thing that you've ever done if you get hung up. See, I call it the hurdles. So when I have the talk and then somebody says, well, my wife, she's a baker. We butcher a pig every year. I also make wine. Da 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 da, da 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 da, and they're still sitting here in the chair. And I go, hey, ho. You've put up 6 hurdles and you haven't even started yet. So that's the program you go enter into the computer. So you have to jump all over that to get going. And then the person that says, so what you're telling me is I got to go home and eat my fruits and veggies and shove cannabis in every hole I got? I go, yeah, well, I can do that. That's the program that went enter into the computer. Now it becomes very, very easy for you to do it. I enjoy getting in and making that smoothie, watching what's going in there and how it's going to taste. My mouth starts to the saliva just starts to run, man, because it's delicious. It's life.
Mhm.
Hey, it's life. I've never felt like this in my life. I'm going to be 71 years old, and this is the healthiest I've ever been. I need 2 brand new shoulders. This is what cannabis is allowing me to do. They want to replace both my shoulders and my knee. I mean, it's like this. As long as I don't do anything stupid, I can function just fine. I've learned how to deal with all the aches and pains. And the bottom line is, cannabis is the most important food and medicine that we have. This should really be the first line that you try, because you can always go have body parts cut off. You can always do that. You know, I'd be really, really, really upset because I was sent to have my bladder and prostate and one of my kidneys removed. It took 11 and a half months for me to get there to see that surgeon. Well, in 11 and a half months, the smoothie saved it. When I got there, it was gone. So that was the power of cannabis for me. So that was pretty convincing. And so the next one for me is when I got my all clear, my band, we did a benefit. His name was Chuck Binns. He had stage 4 throat cancer. They gave him about 3 weeks. So after we did the benefit, I said, you need to come on over to my house and listen to what I had to say. Chuck, this is what I did. 386 days later, he was cancer free. But he came every single day, and this is what we did, and boom, 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 boom. And in that 1 year period, he almost died once because they didn't think he was going to live. And because he had throat cancer, so that when they give him the radiation and the chemo, they usually pull your teeth because it's going to destroy all the nerves and everything's just going to rot. Well, they didn't think that he was going to live, so they didn't pull his teeth. Yeah, well, he lived. Well, now the infection in his mouth was so bad that they couldn't even remove the teeth. So we used the cannabis oil, coconut oil extract. Hey, take a tablespoon, he started to do oil pulling. So he did that every single day as long as he could stand it. In 6 weeks' time, he got to yank his teeth out. 10 weeks later, he got measured for choppers, and 16 weeks later, he had new teeth. So that's the power of cannabis, man. It's pretty amazing stuff, but we all just need to learn how to use it. And it's all whole plant medicine. Don't separate it all. There's a reason all those cannabinoids are together. In a very simple way, is like if we have one strain, for example, I have 5 darts to throw at you. If I use 20 strains, I got 100 darts to throw at you now. I'm going to hit you with one, no doubt. And so the more cannabis, because every single cannabinoid has purpose for us. And I'm a strong believer in the chlorophyll, because chlorophyll oxygenates the blood. That's why we eat our greens, man. That's why we eat greens. So I learned how to do an extraction from this fellow's name is Eric. And I did it that way, the way he told me to do it. Well, here I am. I've been cancer-free now for 10 years. And so Chucky was the next one. And there's a whole bunch of others So I haven't changed the process. I still do it exactly the same way as I started. It's not broken, so I'm not going to fix it. It's pretty simple. And I like to keep it simple. I don't like to think it hard, because if you make it hard, it's very hard to fix. Okay? Very hard to fix. So I like to keep it simple, silly. That's the best theory to work on. And you only can do your best. That's all you can do. And that's good enough, man. And we all don't win at this game. So cannabis isn't the magic that everybody really, really thinks it is, because you still got to do your part. When you step up to the plate, man, oh man, oh man.
Mhm.
And so what ends up happening, you become the best version of you when you go down this journey. And really, there isn't a damn thing you can do about it. You just become a better human being. You look at life differently, blinders open. Things you used to accept that were kind of, you don't accept that shit anymore. You know, your clock gets wound a little different, and that's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's amazing how cannabis helps you and you, Dave, as well. It's not just about alleviating the symptoms or even directly treating the cancer. It's changing your perspective and allowing you to access the power of your own mind to enhance your healing. You need to do the work. Just taking the medicine and then just being passive with it, it doesn't work as well as when you're confident, involved, and when you have that mindset change that you do have power over your situation, and you need to use that power to heal.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more you get involved with your own healing, the stronger you become. And then once you get to that point, you're dying to tell somebody, hey, and it's like the domino effect. And I like that. And I always call it releasing another warrior. It's like watching that cocoon hatch that with the monarch. And so okay, this is going to happen here. And boy, I'll tell you, I've released a lot of warriors. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so how many people do you think you've helped? Because I was going to ask about who the first person was. It sounds like it was Chuck after your own experience, but then you've gone on to help hundreds of people after, haven't you?
Yeah. So I, well, I'll show you. This is my, that's my calendar. That somebody meet every day.
And they're coming to your garage specifically.
Yeah.
And do you also meet with people online, or is it all in person?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, online. I Skype, I Zoom. Hey, I sit behind people, take your laptop, bring it over there. I'll watch over your shoulder, do an extraction. So I do all kinds of stuff like that. I mean, I had a fella come, Gilgamesh Gonzalez. He come up here from Costa Rica. He had bladder cancer. And so he had tracked me down, and he came, and we made arrangements for him to stay over at a trailer, and I supplied him with the smoothie the entire time he was here. So while he was here, we taught him how to make the smoothie. We taught him how to clone. We got him arranged with seeds. We got him fixed up. So he was here for a cutting session, all of the above, so that when he left here, he had the tools that he needed to go back to Costa Rica. So I have a little story that goes along with that, because he had a friend that lived up the road. He was a lawyer. And he had a few of his friends that had cancer. And so cannabis wasn't legal in Costa Rica. So what the lawyer did, he went and planted cannabis all around his property. And then he phoned the police and said, you need to come and arrest me. I have cannabis on my property. So when he was all done, every single Costa Rican got to have 8 plants. And he did that for nothing. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Share the healing, share the knowledge. Each one of us has to tell one. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. This is what this is all about. There is another way that stuff can be done. I just look at what I went through and how barbaric it still is. This is how far we've come over this time, and then here we are in our garages and shit like that, in their kitchens and back rooms are doing all this stuff. Come on, you're trying really hard not to look. Yeah,
the medical system kind of went backwards over time, in terms of humanity moving away from whole plants and herbs. And yeah, it's taken hundreds of years essentially for us to start to go back to that.
Justin, when I went down this road and I started to research, and then when I discovered patent number 6630507, I went, what?
Neuroprotectants and antioxidants.
And then when I continued looking, the human body is an endocannabinoid system, and I went, what? It comes from 2 places. It comes from breast milk and the plant. Are you kidding me? And if you do believe in the guy driving the big spaceship, that's what the 3 wise men brought baby Jesus was: cannabis, frankincense oil, and myrrh oil. That's the Holy Trinity. That's what we're using to save our lives. It's pretty incredible. It's been here forever. Wasn't everything up until 1937. That's when they introduced the aspirin and systematically removed cannabis out of pharmacopoeia. Quite simply, just follow the money, man.
Yeah, there was a lot of corruption that's been very apparent looking back about the prohibition of cannabis. Like, they didn't know what they were talking about. Even the American Medical Association was actually arguing against criminalizing cannabis, and the government's like, if you don't have anything helpful to say, don't say it. And yeah, they didn't want to hear it from the doctors themselves.
No, and it's very, very sad. The only negative effects about cannabis is not having any. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, there's the old joke. Do you have a cannabis problem? Yeah, my problem is I don't have cannabis. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And it is. And sometimes there are some people, it takes such a small amount to affect them. And because of all my aches and pains and over time, I'm a pretty heavy user, and you do get accustomed to it. So on the average, I'm consuming 30, 40 grams of cannabis daily in my smoothie. So that's my biggest consumption in the morning, is probably about 10 to 12, 14 grams in my smoothie of decarb cannabis. So I prefer to use the older cannabis because the THC breaks down into CBN as it gets older, and it has a little more sedative effect. A little
Absolutely.
more, it has more calming effect. And so we've even been playing with degradation chambers. So doing the alcohol extraction and then having an ultralight chamber that we leave it suspended in the alcohol, and then putting in the degradation chamber for 72 hours, and it just changes from this green to this beautiful amber color. And so now there's the CBN now has stepped forward, and boy, oh boy, those are knockout drops. That it really helps you sleep. In the CBN, when I evaporate off the alcohol and coming down, it has a totally different texture than what FICO does. It's almost like a shatter, like glass. It gets very hard. It's very hard like that, but it smokes very nice. So CBN is the flavor of hash. So that's where that taste comes from.
Yeah,
And you-
CBN is a fascinating compound. Yeah, CBD gets all the attention as kind of the secondary cannabinoid, but CBN would also probably be very useful for people who do have difficulties with THC psychoactivity and need something to kind of calm them down and make it easier to tolerate the higher doses as they go up.
Oh, absolutely. There's all different ways to affect the high. So many ways you can control that. And then once you find your happy spot, and once you can handle it, then I always tell people increase at bedtime so you sleep to that part of it. And a lot of people think that once you're accustomed, you're not feeling anything, that it's not working. Well, yeah, it's still working. You can function now. That's the best part, is finding, and when you get to that spot, now you can function. So there's very little high left for me. I don't look for a high. I look to feel good. I look to be able to function, to have a conversation. Not that's not how I want to feel. I don't want to be a couch potato.
It's ironic because you take higher doses than virtually anyone else, but you're also so coherent. And yeah, it's because you're using it for the proper way, and your body needs it, and you've adjusted to it. That's one of the wild things about cannabis. One person can take 5 milligrams and be on the dysphoric for 8 hours. Another person can take 4,000 milligrams and be completely fine. So it's all about starting low, slowly increasing, and finding
find your spot and where you need. And it was when I got my function back, and then it was so gradual. I didn't even know I had the use of my arms back, because if I wanted to grab something, I would have to grab my arm and lift it. So I'm doing it. But when did that happen? Because I was so long for 30 years, and then took the leg brace off, and voila, it's working. It's a miracle.
Yeah, that's wild to just realize you suddenly have use of your limbs again. Just I wasn't expecting it. Suddenly, I don't need to lift my arm with my other arm. Just suddenly you can do it.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, but I hit the ground. I keep moving all the time, because I learned this. Our pain is the buildup of lactic acid, and that hurts. The more it hurts, the less you move. The less you move, the more it hurts. And so I learned I stay active. I hit the ground running at 4:30 in the morning. I'm out walking by 5 o'clock with my dog. And so I'm going all day long. I probably walk 5-6 miles every single day and pedal my bike 15-20 miles every day. And so I'm quite pleased with that, because you're talking to somebody who couldn't walk. So I'm very happy where I'm at in my life. See, we all get to this age. Yeah, well, we all get to my age and stuff like that, especially the old folks. When you get to that, we put the almighty dollar here and our health here. Once you get here, you have no choice. Now you got to deal with it, and hopefully it's not too late. You know, when everybody retires and they're 65, and what is everybody doing? Dealing with their freaking aches and pains, sitting at the doctor's office, can't do that, oh, my back, and this and that. And there's little things that you can do all along the way so that shit don't happen. That's what I've learned, man, in the last 14 years, is there's lots of things that we can do to prevent a lot of stuff. But like I say, everybody's looking for that magic pill. There isn't one. Right? There is no magic, nothing. You're the magic. And like my friend Pamela says there, the magic's in the details. That's where the magic is. So pay attention when somebody says, do this. There's a reason we're doing it like that.
Yeah, and it's great that you really espouse the full treatment, because so many people, just focus on cannabis as if, that's all you need. And, changing I would say that I think the diet is the second most important thing. But yeah, it's really everything. You need to clean up your life, especially if you have a serious disease. You need to be hitting that from all sides so that your mind, body, spirit is completely prepared to attack it at full strength.
Well, absolutely. What happens, your food is toxic, your friends are toxic, your life is toxic, everything you're doing is toxic, and you're just taking the cannabis oil. So you're really not into your own healing until you realize that part of it. And this is the biggest thing, when no bread, no pasta, no potatoes, no sugar, no red meat, no dairy products, no eggs, no chicken, no fish. Everybody's jaw drops. Okay, what am I supposed to eat? Okay, and I always do this. I only use 9 fingers. Don't eat those 9 things. Eat anything else you want, just don't eat those 9 things. And so because I was a meat eater and all of the above, the only thing that I miss is the chew, the bite. I've gotten really good at creating that. So yeah, I don't miss it now at all, the meat at all, none. But I'll tell you this, what happened was after a year and a half of no meat or anything like that, I got a terrible craving for liver and Swiss cheese, that I had to go have liver and Swiss cheese. Then I felt fine. 6 months later, I had to go have liver and Swiss cheese. And so I was single, and I was going to date this lady. In our first meet and greet, she brought her son. He was 22 years old, has never had a piece of meat in his life. So I was telling him what had happened. He goes, Jack, he says, that's your body speaking to you. He says, liver and Swiss cheese had the highest concentration of B12. See, we get our meat from B12. We get B12 from our meat. So now I use nutritional yeast. It has 880% of the B12 that I need, 900% thiamine, 600% niacin, all the above. The stuff's just off the charts. And ever since that, I throw that into the smoothie. And so I throw everything in my smoothie, and I have this tart cherry juice. I can hide anything with that stuff. But it actually tastes very good, because the people, their eyes get like, oh my God, they just watch everything that goes there. And I say, here, have a taste. And they go, oh, wow. And I goes, yeah, it doesn't taste anything what you thought it was going to taste like. And I really didn't measure anything, but you can adjust the taste with the fruit to make it so it's palatable. All right. See, but now you're involved. Now you're involved. And that's
you only need a little bit of fruit. You can have a ton of vegetables and just a little bit of fruit. It's amazing what the fruit can mask. So people make it out to be so difficult, but it's not. You can do things to make it taste delicious, and even cut it. A lot of people are overwhelmed about hearing all those things they need to cut out, but there's still so many things that you can still have. And it's really only once you get used to it, I guess, you said you missed the chew of it, of meat, but it doesn't, people think that they can never be happy again. Oh, if I never have bread or pasta again, I can't be happy. And it's just not true. Especially if you're sick and you start feeling so much better.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So now I make veggie pasta, eat spaghetti squash. I'm thinking, why are we eating pasta? Because it's so delicious. You use the spaghetti squash and there's your bowl. Right? You just put the sauce right in the squash itself and eat it like that. It's delicious.
And the nutritional yeast is like a natural cheese, so people can cut out the dairy and still have that cheesy flavor.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. there's all kinds of ways to do things, and creating the umami and stuff like that with nutritional yeast, walnuts, from any mushroom, and grind all that stuff up, only your hairdresser knows it's not hamburger. It really is. And so I've gotten really good at creating my meals and stuff like that. And so just so you understand, my favorite show is to watch the cooking show, because everybody cooks around that piece of meat. So I don't have a piece of meat to cook around. So I just see how can I incorporate what it is that they're doing there.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it really is. And so I now I enjoy, it's probably one of my favorite things, is to sit and prepare my meals, because it's the colors of the rainbow. It just looks so pretty already. And that's half the battle, man. And even when I was eating by myself, whatever it is that I made it look like $1 million, because now it already tasted fantastic before I even started. The eyes are the gateway, man.
Mhm.
And so too, and another thing is what you think, that's pretty much exactly what'll happen. That's what I've noticed with people. I said, oh, I really don't like to get high, and I said, you got to stop thinking like that, because that's all you're thinking about, and that's exactly not what's going to happen. It really is. And so always pay attention to your thoughts, because always pay attention to your surroundings, because you have the energy vampires, the people that are the always me ones, and that does you absolutely no good whatsoever, being in the always me. I never had that once. The only time, well, I lied. The only time I had the woe is me once, because of the number of cystos and everything that I had. I have a hard time when I got to pee. I got 2 minutes. It's one of those. And so I'm in my vehicle. I'm about 7 minutes away from home. I got to pee. Oh my God. Here we go. I'm coming in, and now I have a hold of my penis in the car. I'm squealing like this. And all I know is I can't release, because I'm going to pee. Runs into the house, jumps in, kicks my shoes up, jumps in to the bathtub, and I pees my pants, and I breaks down, and I starts to cry. And then all of a sudden he goes, what the hell is wrong with you? You just pissed your pants. You're supposed to be fucking dead. And I started to laugh. And that was the only time I had an oh, woe is me moment. And it was my ego. Had nothing to do with me. I peed my pants. Whoopee shit.
Yeah, who cares in the grand scheme of things? Like it's so meaningless. Like, yeah, it truly is ego. And yeah,
Yes.
the less that people can in general, get hung up on things that they don't need
Get your
to
ego
be.
out of the way, man, because it's going to take you out every single time. Yeah, it'll take you out every single time. And even when it comes down to, I can't be embarrassed anymore. So I'll tell you, like for me, it was about to do the first time do a suppository. I have no idea how far I'm supposed to shove it up my ass. It's 5:30 in the morning. I don't have coffee club until 6. So I'm over there in the corner, got my pants down to my ankles. I got my fingers shoved up to here. And all of a sudden I get this most surprised look on my face, because the suppository, it just disappeared. And then all of a sudden the door opens and my friend Ricky walks in. So now I have my finger up my ass, my pants down to my knees, and he's looking at me. From that point on, you can't embarrass me anymore either.
I would have joked about that. I mean, been like, I don't know, just it's like, oh, you got a show today, or
I don't know. I asked him if he wanted to smell my finger. I didn't know what else to say.
exactly.
So
So we do got to wrap some things up, but I definitely wanted to let the audience know that you have an amazing documentary on YouTube called Jack's Garage. It is just an amazing look into your life. You get a little bit more look into the actual garage, but some people that you've worked with, just another retelling of your journey. It's very emotional. I challenge anybody not to cry when they see that. And I was also thinking, when you talked about how beautiful your food was, there's that scene of you making your asparagus soup, and like, who needs meat or bread when you have that? I mean, it looks, it doesn't seem like you're sacrificing anything, and you're only
no. I eat better now than I ever did. The food is just so delicious, and
you grow your own.
Yes. Yeah, especially like now, this time of the year, I get the smoothie, I take my jar, I walk outside, I do it once around the garden, man. It doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any cheaper. It isn't hard. You know, people say to eat healthy is certain. No, 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 no. Because I live in the greenhouse capital in our country here. I go to it's called Farm Fresh, and for $40, I can't eat what I buy for $40 in 2 weeks. But I go to
That's
the
why you gotta
farm.
have your own.
See, I go to the farmer. I don't go to the store. I go right directly to the guy that grows it. Best
That's
deal.
awesome. Yeah, that's what we need. Get back to the farmers, get back to the natural sources of food. And yeah, your wisdom is going to change the world. We wanna really help spread it, and we really appreciate that you taking the time to educate people. We're really going to push this, and it's truly an honor to have you as part of this family. It really, really means a lot.
Well, thanks for having me along, man.
Back to Help Fest. We are so excited to sit down and do this session with our cancer journey stories. We have had the honor of being a part of several people's journeys. This is Christa. Christa is one of the cancer warriors who was on the Operation Zero program, and I wanted to bring her on and give her an opportunity to tell us about her diagnosis, the symptoms that she may have experienced, how she found us, and how it helped.
Okay, yeah. So last year around May, I was noticing when I was working, I would have to reach and get something off my printer. I would feel this pulling sensation in my arm. And then I would sit back down and I would try to find it, and I couldn't find anything, but I knew something was wrong. So I went ahead and scheduled an appointment for my gynecologist, and she couldn't find anything. She didn't seem too concerned, but she knew I was. So she went ahead and ordered a mammogram, and it came back suspicious, but it had done that a couple of times prior. They said I had dense tissue. So anyway, they went ahead and scheduled the ultrasound and biopsy, and basically they said I had stage 2 invasive ductal carcinoma, and it was just they thought possibly it was just in my right breast, and they thought possibly in a lymph node. So they, did that biopsy. Yes, it was. But they told me it was the best kind of cancer to have, which I really don't think there's any good kind of cancer to have, but they said it was the best kind to have. So basically, I don't know. It was like I was driving 100 miles an hour and just like ran into a brick wall, Yeah. And you're just like, whoa. So I've always been like really hesitant or kind of, I don't know, not really trusting of the government.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to be searching for alternative therapies and treatments. I didn't know what this would entail. I just knew that, I'd seen a lot of people that are close to me. My dad died of cancer, and I knew I really did not, even without any research, knew I did not want to do chemo. I wasn't certain about the radiation, but I knew I did not want to do chemo. Fast forward to, I think it was June, I had a double mastectomy. And then I think it was within like 2 weeks of that, that they did a bone scan because my back was hurting. And so I guess breast cancer likes to metastasize to the back. So they did a bone scan, which came back normal. So I was like relieved. But then, like, I think the very next week I had a PET scan, and the PET scan, it showed that it had metastasized everywhere, basically. They were like, it's in your lungs, it's in your liver. And, my oncologist was like just listing like the T5, the L5, like every single vertebrae. I like couldn't even write it down fast enough. It was like basically everywhere in my body, all down my legs. And so then they were like, and actually I left out a little bit. So I said I didn't want to do chemo, but basically I kind of got talked into chemo. So I was set to start chemo on a Monday morning. This was like at the beginning of July. Just because my family, everybody thought that was the best route. And I was just kind of starting my research. So I really look at this stage 4 diagnosis as like, I think it was a good thing for me. It stopped me. I really do.
Yeah.
Because I knew I didn't want to do that, and I was going to do it anyway. But that stopped it. You know, my oncologist was like, well, now we've got to change treatment plans. We can't do that chemo anymore. So then I just had to figure out what was I going to do. Yeah. And I didn't know. I had never had any experience with cannabis, not recreationally, anything. So the first thing that I did, I came, one of my friends, Amy, she had posted on one of her groups, one of her like Plano friends groups or something, and asked if there was any alternative treatments, because I was asking her about that. And so someone had put in there about Chris beat cancer, who is a guy that he's big on changing your diet. So that was kind of the first thing that I did. I'm just kind of telling you how I got to the cannabis.
What kind of dietary changes did you make?
So it's basically raw vegan, you know, plant-based, eat a lot, you juice a lot, you have a lot of fruits and vegetable salad, smoothie. Basically that's all for 90 days. I did that, and then I started adding vegan foods in.
Let me pause right there. How did that change make you feel?
Well, I don't think it's made me feel night and day different now. Yeah. Like I can tell you a year out, I mean, oh my gosh, I have so much energy. I feel amazing. So just changing my diet was a big thing.
I stopped on that because, you know, I am friends with you on Facebook too.
Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of your posts on how changing your diet has like seriously helped you.
No, it really.
So I wanted.
My mom says all the time, you have more energy than you've had in 15 years. Like, I really do. I mean, I feel great because I'm healthy. I'm eating healthy. And that's that's your nutrition. It should be about fueling your body and what nutrients it needs, not about what tastes good. So
absolutely. And it gives, when you get all that junk out and you're already fighting it, like you need that energy so much. So when you're adding in all those, you know, beneficial vitamins and stuff, your body is craving them, and it does fuel you. So you've got the energy to keep going and keep fighting.
Yeah. So that was the first change that I made, was my diet. You know, now I've had health issues for a while. I didn't know I had cancer, obviously, but I've been struggling with my weight for at least 10 years, and my thyroid was off, and I mean, just all kinds of problems, you know. So it's not surprising. It's not surprising now that I think about it, looking back. But anyway, so back to my cancer. So we, when the oncologist changed the treatment plan, she wanted me to now do the first chemo we were going to do was too intensive, too hardcore for how my body was now. And so she wanted me to do oral chemo. And I did agree to it, but I only did it for like 10 days. I took it, and I just was feeling bad taking it, for one. And also I was reading and doing a ton of research through this every day, all day. That's what I was doing. And I just knew I didn't want to do that. I mean, I did not want to be putting poison in my body. And I understand it's like a tough decision for everyone. And I understand why people pick it, but for me, it made the most sense that I wanted to like have a nutrient overload into my system to try to help my body heal, as opposed to killing all the cancer and hoping it doesn't kill me in the process.
Yeah.
So
it is critical to be your own advocate for what you want. I encourage people all the time, don't do a treatment option because your family or friends are asking you to. You do your own research. You figure out what's going to be best for your body. At the end of the day, you're going to be the one that lives with the decision.
That's right.
So that's what I always encourage. So you decided not to do.
So I decided not to do that. My doctor was not happy about that. And so I found the Chris beat cancer. That led me to, and you know, my friend's post, she said, has she ever heard of this Chris beat cancer? And also There's Always Hope. And that's the Jane McClelland, How to Starve Cancer. So those were two big things at the beginning that I dove right into that. Yes. And in those two groups is where I came about somebody that had used cannabis to help. And so I listened to Cannabis Health Radio, and it was just a podcast. They play like weekly stories of people that they're curing all kinds of diseases with cannabis, not just cancer. So I was like, even though I didn't have any experience using it recreationally, I was on board. I like knew it worked from the very beginning. I never doubted. I did not doubt it at all. I was like, we just got to figure out how to get it. So I listened to that podcast. I was messaging with Corey Yelland, and she got back with me and got me started going and helped explain what to do, how to make the oil, how to get it.
That is.
Oh, I know.
That is something else.
She is awesome. She is amazing. She has so much knowledge.
That's what I'm saying. She's like, what an experience that was to learn from her.
Yeah. And so she was, she got me going with that. This was before I ran into you. And basically, she had told me I needed to take at least 1 gram a day, that all of her patients that were seeing results and their tumors were going away and dying with this cannabis was taking 1 gram of this highly concentrated oil. And so that's what I did. I started right out with that. I mean, sometimes people, they'll say like work up to it or they're scared. I didn't. From day one, I just did the 1 gram. And actually, I even went over that on some days because like, you can take it orally, or you can take it in a suppository. Well, if you take it as a suppository, you don't get high.
Yep.
And so you can still work, you can still do everything. If you're taking, 1 gram a day of this highly concentrated oil, you could just be passed out sleeping all day. So
you feel that 1 gram a day.
Yeah, I did take, when I made it on my own, I tried it orally. They say start with the size of a half of a piece of rice.
Yeah.
That's how strong it is. And it really is strong. I mean, it
is.
It's crazy.
It's intense. It's intense. So we always tell people to start small and work your way up.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I wouldn't be scared to do it. I mean, to do the suppositories, I know it's really weird. I mean, it's not something you're used to. I mean, also I was doing coffee enemas. That's a big part of my healing, I believe. And that was really strange also. It's like you're uncomfortable. You've never done anything like this. It's weird, but you know what? If you want to live, you just do what you got to do. Be healthy.
Absolutely.
So I started taking the cannabis. I changed my diet, and instantly my numbers started going down. So my cancer antigen is something, the breast cancer antigen is like CA 15.3, and my doctor checks that every month, and it started going down. So that was really good. I just always felt better since then. So I've had 2 PET scans. I don't like to do a lot of the diagnostic testing because I really believe that all of the radiation is going to, not be helpful to your healing and possibly lead to more cancer later on. So I really try to limit them, but I've had 2 since then. And my last one I just had recently, when did I have that? Just like a few weeks ago. And basically, I mean, there's like 1 spot left that's like, excuse me, I'm thirsty. Excuse me. Okay, so basically everything is gone. Like everything in my chest area, my lungs, it's all gone. And the ones that were in my bones are either gone or inactive, I guess. I'm not exactly sure how. 2 different people explained it to me 2 different ways, but I guess the uptake in your bone or whatever, it can be, there's a range, I don't know. So basically the only thing that hadn't changed or isn't gone was, on my lower back.
Yeah.
So there's 1 area, but it's amazing.
It is amazing. What was it like to hear that news after all that battle?
I mean, it's awesome but I knew it too. I knew it, and I my faith is very strong, so I've been praying about it, and so that's what I do. Is every day I just ask God to guide me and lead me in whatever direction I need to go, and that's kind of, I've just had faith in Him. He's given me this peace that really I've never had in my life. I mean, I haven't really been scared on this journey, so it's been good. Yeah. And I'm pretty much a scaredy cat. So,
so it's like opposite.
Right. but I have. I just felt like God's got this, and I just feel like there's so much stuff that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just dove right into the research. And
one of our mentors, one of the people that we like built this program with, actually two of them, they're both cancer survivors, and they say things that kind of like catch you off guard. So both of them have told me cancer has been their biggest blessing.
I believe that too.
Yeah. I'm like, are you serious? And like, it made me change my ways. It made me acknowledge what I was doing wrong and fixing it. It made me fight for myself.
Yeah.
And then you get to know yourself.
That is so true. Yeah. And one of the first books I got early on is called God's Way to Ultimate Health, I believe. So that was really good too, about eating live food versus dead food.
Yeah.
And, when you cook your food, you're losing a lot of the nutrients and killing, everything good in it for you. So I do eat mostly raw food right now. I mean, I'd say like 90% of my diet is like fruit, salad, and smoothies.
Yeah. Yeah. I would try to keep it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel great. It's strange. I mean, it is strange, but
lifestyle
it's weird because I was thinking back to like, a year ago, I was having, Cheeto sandwiches at 2 a.m. with Dr. Pepper. And now when we go to a restaurant, it's like I won't even drink their water because I don't know if it's filtered or not.
Yeah.
So I've actually changed my whole lifestyle. I went to more natural. I didn't realize all the chemicals that were in everything, all the pesticides on our food, the glyphosate. I don't know however you say that.
Yeah.
Do you know? Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's poison in us. So I just basically got rid of everything. I started making my own products. So I make, my sunscreen, my face cream, basically everything. I make it myself.
That's amazing.
All my soap, shampoo, conditioner, toothpaste. Anyway, so I'm like all natural. Yeah, I went all in and completely changed my lifestyle. Completely.
Yeah.
What else? I'm trying to think what else. I mean,
so you've been taking the FICO from the program for several months now.
January, yes. That's how I came up. Right. Okay. So I went into Silver Leaf, I believe, and they told me about your program, and which is amazing. I was so thankful because it's so expensive. It is so expensive. And plus, it's hard to know where to start with all of it. So this has been really a blessing. So thank you, Jamie, for doing this. And it's just been a huge part of my healing. I mean, I just think it's been amazing, obviously. Now, my doctor will not say that. So my doctor either looks at it as this is just like I take it that she looks at this as just like luck and then it's going to come back. She's still every month she's trying to get me to do chemo, even though every month more and more of my cancer is gone, not doing chemo. So it makes no sense, but they just don't give any credit to what you're doing. She's told me at least 3 different times. I asked her if I should change my diet. Does diet matter? No, diet doesn't matter. And it's so frustrating.
I bet that's frustrating.
Because it makes it, and they also told me my 5-year survival rate was like, I think 30%, that I'd be alive in 5 years. And I feel like they take away all your hope. They say there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Don't change your diet. Don't do anything. Just take this chemo, take the radiation, and I don't know, die.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that. So
yeah. I went through a very difficult cancer battle with my best friend, and I was floored that they didn't discuss diet, exercise, anything with her. Even just increasing, they're changing her water for one, and then increasing water to flush the toxins in her body. Like none of that was discussed. They just pumped her full of chemo, and
it's crazy.
Is really hard.
I started using filtered water. I didn't have that before in my house. It's a lot. But even I went to my oncologist this last week, and they also recommend hormone blockers for everybody who's had breast cancer for like 5 to 10 years after you've had it. I don't really personally know anybody that's not on them, but I have not been taking them. I started off taking them originally, but I have not taken them, for the last probably three or so months. And, everything's still good. I still feel great. I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't feel great about it, but she's looking at it now. But since I'm not doing instead of looking at my diet and the cannabis as what's helping me, she's looking at it as the hormone blocker is and it's absolutely not.
You're like, no, that's
No,
not,
it's not. No.
accurate. You do already? Oh wow, she's early. Okay. That's all right. We'll give us just a couple more minutes. For another cancer patient out there who maybe has held on to the stigma of cannabis and they're like, no, even though you've heard that it may help in other sources, but like from one cancer patient to another patient, what would you tell them?
I would definitely say to try it. I mean, I don't understand not trying it because the alternative is death. I would have done it even before I knew of the suppositories. It's like, would you rather be high or do you want to die?
Yeah.
But once I realized you don't even have to be high, you don't have to be. If you don't like that feeling or that scares you, which it does me, I don't like that feeling. I don't want to be high, so I, do the suppository. And it's like I don't see the hesitation with it. I don't see there's nothing but good. I don't have any negative side effects from taking it as a suppository. So I highly recommend it. Highly recommend looking into it. There's Cannabis Health Radio. There's story after story of healing. It's really amazing. And so I just wish that everyone would try it. Even in the States, I would recommend it. I would do it if I have a state, obviously I live in a state that it's legal, but even if it wasn't, I would be doing it. I would be advocating for my family members to do it because I know that it works. I see it. It's worked in my life. I've seen it in tons of other people's lives. So, I would rather be, illegally alive than legally dead.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. Our gym, our main sponsor on the program with Vico Playbook, that is his favorite line ever. He says it all the time.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So I don't see why anyone is hung up on trying it. It's just so amazing, and I just hope everybody, if you or someone you love is struggling with it, is to just give it a try.
Yeah.
I think you'll see results quick. Like in the first couple of months, tumors will be gone.
Yeah, it's really important to. FICO is something amazing to try. Okay, it can't harm you. So, you might need to take a nap if you take too much.
But you can take too much suppository and you still don't need to take a nap.
That's true. That's true.
But if you are taking it orally, yes, you will definitely need a nap.
You might need a nap. But it is one of those options that if you're worried about what somebody else is going to say about it, don't tell them.
That's true.
Don't tell them. That's kind of my opinion on it. I think it's absolutely worth trying, but it has to be combined with dietary changes.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I just feel like you never know how much you're getting of all this other stuff.
Yeah.
You're getting pesticides in all your food, and if you're still eating that, it's not going to work as well. You're offsetting. You're at the bottom of the hill trying to climb out, and so you want to take away every little roadblock, right?
Yep. I'm seeing a question here that says, I want to know more about suppositories. Were you making the suppositories?
I did make the suppositories, and then I stopped. I say suppositories is just easy, but basically I was making them. It's very, it's very simple. You just, get a little kit, a little mold basically, and put it in there, and put it in your freezer. It's easy. But when I started talking to Corey, she was like, so when you get this RSO, it comes in a syringe without a needle. And so she's like, it's easier. If you want to skip a step and not make a suppository, you can just use it out of the syringe, which is what I do currently. So, you have a carrier oil. So like coconut oil or olive oil or something like that. And then you just can put your syringe in it and put it up there and shoot it up there.
Yes, I mean it helps.
It's easy. You don't feel it. It's like fast, and then you don't even have to worry with making the suppositories. But if you want to make the suppositories, you just buy mold on Amazon, and then you just put the oil in there with your carrier oil and put it in the freezer, and it's very simple.
I hope that helped answer your question, Regina. We are going to bring in Justin here in just a second. Justin's joining the webinar. So Justin, he is getting ready to jump on with us. Justin, we are live. I did not put you in the backstage. Justin and I work together on a couple different projects, and he is our story coordinator. Okay, so he is in all of our stories, getting all the most details. Justin, is there anything, you're on mute, is there anything that you would like to ask before we close this, before we end with this guest speaker?
Yes. Did you know whether your cancer had been diagnosed as ER positive or PR positive? I'm sorry if I missed that part.
Yes, it was both ER positive,
Okay.
PR positive, HER2 negative.
All right, and your treatment was indeed largely just the THC rich FICO, not any CBD, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, yeah, that's
I mean,
really
it's got CBD. It's got CBD in the oil though too. It's like a 4-to-1
okay
ratio in the oil. Yeah.
But it's 4-to-1 THC to CBD.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's really
Absolutely.
interesting because there's a like a controversial issue in the cannabis to treat cancer movement about THC rich approaches for treating hormone positive breast cancers, and it's still not clear because there's so many people, clearly you included, who use these THC dominant approaches and are having great results. So that's just one of those areas that we're really trying to learn more about, and that's really
Right.
good to know that the
Yeah.
THC rich approach for you worked.
Yes, it did. And I know what you're talking about. I did see that. I know I've actually, one of the books that I purchased, she goes off talking about that. She wouldn't recommend it, but I don't know. I feel like there was, I just saw too many success stories that I wanted to risk it. When I talked to Corey too, with all of her, success stories, none of them that were doing it the other way were winning. I mean, those were the patients that were, that passed away and stuff, that because they weren't, it was her perspective, and this is with hundreds, thousands of patients, that like, they weren't getting enough THC. And so I just went ahead and wanted to try the best. I had it everywhere in my body, so I wanted to give it all I could.
Yeah, that's great. I actually just heard that part, or one of the shows, she mentioned that about how the people who are only doing the CBD because they're afraid of the THC, none of them are doing well. So,
Right.
But it seems that it has some level of importance, because even with you, it wasn't all THC, it was that 4-to-1 ratio.
Right.
So yeah, with every case we get closer to the truth about what will work for that particular cancer type.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming out and
Thank you.
stepping out of your comfort zone, because I know
Sure.
that this is not an easy thing to do. I have very much enjoyed following your story the whole time, getting to know you a little bit, watching your posts on Facebook and seeing how your progress has been. It's been awesome. I feel honored to be a part of it.
Oh, so thankful for you, Jamie. Thank you for having this program and having it available for cancer patients. I tell everybody I know about it. It's been a lifesaver for me. So thank you.
Thank you. We are going to introduce Regina. Regina is another story that we have been following very closely, and I am very excited to hear from her. Give me just a second and I will bring her on. Justin, you can stay on an interview with me.
Sounds good.
Hello, Regina.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm doing fair.
Good. So I did like a small introduction and said that, I just said your name and said that we have been following your cancer journey for quite a while now. I kind of wanted to let you.
Well, I have just like went back to college days and kind of wrote a small speech. So you can stop me and ask questions or whatever you want. Because I'm not really sure. This is my first time doing anything like this. So I apologize if I start to cry.
No,
but
we applaud the bravery, girl. We applaud it.
Okay. Well, first of all, for cuteness here, I do I have to introduce my head nurse of staff. This is Jax. He's my 10-year-old heartbeat. So, my name's Regina, and I'm 39, and I'm a child of God, a dog mom, a daughter, a granddaughter, a friend, a former hair fairy. I did hair for 15 years. Excuse me. Sister from another missus. A caregiver, an aunt to a few. I was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in October of 2021. So I am a walking miracle. Literally. My doctors have told me in the last month that I am a walking, talking miracle that they don't see. So I'll rewind to 2018, when I was told I had fibromyalgia and that I was just severely depressed and that I needed to go on to Cymbalta and try that. And I thought, finally, I have something, but I wasn't really convinced. And I just kept pushing through, and I declined the Cymbalta at the time. And I just kept going to the doctor regularly. And then the pain, the chronic pain, the migraines, the PCOS, the diabetes, the high blood pressure, I just couldn't cope anymore. In 2020, I threw my hands up and I started the Cymbalta. God, my body hated it. It almost killed me. I truly believe that Cymbalta should be illegal. I know that there are some people that take it and it helps them, and I'm grateful for that for them, but I know a lot of people that have had the same experience or worse than mine. So I got back off of it and I just pushed through with CBD and supplements. I started taking full spectrum CBD in 2018 regularly for chronic pain. Fast forward to September of 2021, so 2 years ago from now, actually, I was getting ready to start a third job, sales position, and I was going to be working at the state fair at a sales booth, along with running my business in the salon and door dashing in my spare time. And that's only relevant because I wasn't just laying there dying. I was pushing through. I was hustling. I was doing what I had to do. And I worked those 11 days. And about 2 days later, I got sick. I started to have blood in my stool. And my doctor said, I think you have appendicitis or diverticulitis. And I'm like, I don't know, but I think I have a kidney stone. So he ordered a CT scan, and that was the day that I found out I had 4 tumors. From that point, things went extremely fast, and I had 2 biopsies. The second one showed stage 4 adenocarcinoma, primary of the pancreas, and the first oncologist that I had seen was on the phone with me saying, we're ready to do surgery. and I was in getting a second opinion. Praise God, I did. Please always, always, always get a second, get a third opinion if you have to, until you feel comfortable with your care. Because if I would have let the doctor operate on me, I wouldn't be here telling you guys my story today. Because I have splenic vessel involvement in my pancreatic tumor. They most likely wouldn't have been able to resect it completely, and I would have bled out. So I'm very strong in my faith, and I believe that, God is the one that led me to where I am right now, and I'll get there. So I got my port on November the 5th, and then on November the 9th, I started full FOLFIRINOX chemotherapy with a 5-FU pump. And that 5-FU, they mean it. FU 5 times, really times 5. You leave it on for 2 days. You come home with it. You disconnect it yourself. And then you take it back with you to your next chemo session in a week. And they take it and swap it out, and you come home with a new one. And so I did 12 rounds of FOLFIRINOX.
What kind of symptoms did you experience with that?
Oh, I had a horrible reaction on my first treatment. I was in the ER that night. And that is one thing that I'll say is frustrating about the chemo center is they will screw you up, and they will, if you can walk out of there, they'll tell you bye, when they should be calling you an ambulance. And I, just itching, hard to breathe. And at that moment, it can happen at any second. You can just go in, not be able to breathe at all, and nobody can do anything about it. And they have literally sent me home. And then 45 minutes after I got home, they said, okay, well, you need to go to the ER. So we went to the ER, and it was in the middle of COVID. And I don't know anything really other than I was a caregiver for my mom about being a cancer patient when it's not a pandemic. But let me tell you, it changes the ball game. Having this reaction to chemo, and I'm told by a triage person who's actually like a rented security guard. You stand in this circle, you go wait in your car. Me go wait in my car. I just handed you a card from my doctor that says I'm a current chemo patient that just had chemo today and I'm having a reaction. You want me to go wait in my car? Okay. So we left and went to a different ER. I wasn't going to go wait in my car to die.
Yeah,
You definitely have to
that's
be an
insane.
advocate for yourself. I've been in the ER more in the last 2 years than I have in my entire life. After that, I started a phase 2 trial for a while. I didn't tolerate the PARP inhibitor that I took at home, which was considered to be a chemotherapy pill that I took daily. And then every 21 days I had Keytruda. I'd have reactions after the Keytruda every time, end up in the ER anywhere from 24 to 48 hours later. So they stopped that. And in April of 2022, I was praying really hard. I had a lot of people coming to me saying, have you heard of this dog dewormer? Have you heard of Joe Tippins? Have you heard of, this regimen? And, I have friends sending me links, and I'm doing research, and I dive into it, and I prayed really hard, and I got 3 different signs within 2 days, and I took that as my confirmation from the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit that he was leading me to start fenbendazole. So in April of 2022, I started fenbendazole. I started reishi mushrooms, cordyceps mushrooms, agarose blasi mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms for depression instead of Lexapro. Because I didn't want to be on one more pill, and if I was, by God, I wanted it to be natural. So I microdosed with psilocybin even. I took Tucka for my liver to protect it. I never once had bad numbers. Twice in my entire 2 years have I had to stop treatment because of my numbers. But I took Tucka for my liver protection. I took Pactisol and serapeptase for detox to get the dead out quicker, to help water flush things out. Again, I upped the CBD to no less than 100 milligrams a day. I was taking FICO, but I couldn't afford it. And man, God always provides. He'll never leave us or forsake us. And he guided me to you, Jamie, through Zora Braun. And you introduced me to Allie and Jerry at Silver Leaf. And they are a huge blessing. Jerry can be busy and he will sit down with me and he will brainstorm. And Allie too. You know, they used to be in healthcare. They used to help people at the end of life. They're such a valuable asset to have in your corner. And you got me on the program. You worked really hard to get me on the program. And unfortunately, through my research, and you know, if I'm wrong, I'd like for somebody to reach out to me. I have 2 genetic mutations. I have the BRCA2 gene mutation and the KRAS G12C mutation. And so high THC is not necessarily the best thing for me, so I dose a little differently. I take 6 to 8 grains of rice a day to help with the pain and the nausea. I mix the RSO in some olive oil and I put it directly into my belly button to help with internal pain. I am interested in trying to do the suppositories as well. So that's why I was asking about that. In addition to the FICO, I take the CBD. And, you know, some days I take so much CBD, somebody else would be in a coma, but I just feel great. And so, you know, for me, it's all about the supplements. And right now I'm on a phase 1 trial where they've learned to target those 2 gene mutations. And my blood pressure is gone up. They've had to double my medication twice in the last couple of weeks to get my blood pressure down so that I can take the steady pill and then immunotherapy every 21 days. And I may have to come off of that. I don't know. Right now I'm kind of in this like lull, but I'm just trying to, you know, stay on my FICO, stay on my CBD. I had to quit taking my mushroom supplements. I had to quit taking the dewormer. I had to quit taking quite a bit of the things that I attributed a lot of shrinkage to for a lot of time. When I started to have growth, that's when they suggested that I go on this phase 1 trial. And my doctor explained it to me like, well, you know, you're always on the train. You can get on and off the train whenever you want, but you only go through certain stations. And this trial is a station. And I prayed about it. And my tumor marker is a CA19-9 for pancreatic cancer. And my entire treatment since October of 21, it's just been over 10,000 unreadable until I started this trial. And in June, it came down to 8,130. In July, it came down to 3,898. Now, granted, it's supposed to be under 25 and it's still extremely high. But this has been explained to me that is the representation of the tumor the burden on your body. It got down to 2,907. And then I started having issues with blood vessels and blood pressure, and I haven't been able to dose at home, and my numbers are starting to go back up already. And that is scary. And I'm almost 2 years later from diagnosis, and they diagnosed me at stage 4. And I just, like I said, I'm really strong in my faith, and I pray every day, and I thank God for allowing me to be here another day. I try to make the best of every day.
2 years after a stage 4 diagnosis, that's gotta be fill you with some kind of hope that you're. I mean, I know getting like stage 4 is like sitting in that for 2 years. It's got to be really hard too, but knowing that you're beating odds, it's got to feel hopeful.
It does. And there's a breakthrough coming, and I know that there is, because God has had me for 2 years. He could have taken me the next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he didn't. I'm still here, and I'm still able to do things. And, I don't drive because I'm on too much medication, and I don't find it responsible to get behind the wheel of a car. If I have to, I can. But I prefer not to. But I can mow my own lawn. I can drive a T-post. Everybody's like, what are you doing? Proving that I can.
Yeah. That's
proving
important. It's important not to just let it.
So I really thank you for bringing me on today, Jamie. And I want to thank Operation 2.0 for making FICO affordable for me and for other cancer patients. I have told as many, and I mean, I tell people all the time, even at the cancer center, I'm typically the light flying through the cancer center. Even on my dark days, I still try to make people laugh and smile and have hope as well. Because I have hope. And I hope that what I said today, any of it, helped one person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I bet it will. I bet it will. We have more of a reach than just what's in here. So this is also going to be on Facebook. So there you may help way more people than you were expecting by just speaking up and sharing your story. And that's something that we seriously encourage around here. Hearing one cancer survivor story, that especially if it matches your cancer, makes a world of difference in your recovery. So
I'm definitely hope for somebody that has or has had pancreatic diagnosis. And, diet is huge. Do what you can, though. Don't beat yourself down about it.
Yeah.
Make small changes as you can. Don't go, oh my God, I have to do everything today, because then you go into sheer panic freak out mode of, I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, what can I do?
Yeah.
Because at first it feels hopeless, and there are days that it feels hopeless, and it's okay to take a day in bed if you need it. Take 2 if you need it. Rest, but don't unpack and live there. That's one of my philosophies, and it has been before cancer, and I have tried to hang on to that one and remember it, because I have my days where it's hard and I hurt, the neuropathy in my legs. I was going to say actually was talking to Allie earlier, and she told me to mix some of the RSO with the lotion, my CBD lotion, and to put that on my legs and see if it helps. So I'm excited to try that later.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up Silverleaf. Those guys over there, man, the Operation Zero team seriously vets our dispensaries. We don't just have every dispensary doing this. They have to care about patients. They have to have some kind of knowledge. We are sending cancer patients who are hungry for information, and we don't want them to get false information. And those guys over there are just so incredibly patient. Every cancer patient I send there comes back with so much feedback. They're like, I spent an hour with them today. I spent 2 hours with them today. They taught me everything I need to know about FICO and CBD, and to how to start dosing it out. And I am just beyond thankful for that team. And I'm so glad that you got a chance to go there. Especially with them. Like I
won't go anywhere else, really, honestly, unless I absolutely have to.
Not something that you find in every dispensary.
No, and they have great flour. They carry CBD flour. Shut up, good CBD flour. Who does that? No one. Everybody's all about, this is 50% THC and it's infused with Dr. Pepper. Gross. First of all, that sounds disgusting. No, thank you. And, I'm a terp chaser, and so are they. And they've got quality cannabis and they've got quality CBD. And I trust anything that they tell me, because they've told me before, I don't know. Let me look into that and I'll let you know. And that says to me, I'm not going to BS you. That says to me, I can trust them. So
absolutely,
definitely, if you're in question about, should I start FICO? Should I try FICO? Yes, give it a shot. Get with Jamie, and wherever Jamie sends you, I trust Jamie's recommendation, because Silverleaf is, my jam. And I tell all kinds of people to go there. And everybody's like, it was in the weirdest place. It was kind of hard to find. I'm like, yeah, you don't pull up and think you're walking, into a dispensary. It looks like you're walking into a medical complex, and they are a actual medical dispensary. So they belong there.
Yeah, and you know how to actually take advantage of their offerings. Like you said, people often just chase the highest THC levels, but the terpenes are so critical to the medical effects. And you've, taken it upon yourself to find the terpene profiles and products that are working well for you. And that's what you need to be successful, is to keep track of what's working, roll out what's not, and then just try to keep improving your protocol through your observation.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Just journaling, just keeping a little journal. And, that was something else. Operation 2.0 gave us little journals that make it so easy for you to keep track of your water, keep track of your food, keep track of what you're doing. And it's nice to have that space to just jot it down. And if there's a strain or a product, something new, jot it down. Jot down when you take it. Jot down how you feel in an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and it helps me find what works and actually has longevity and isn't just like a 30-minute fix,
Yeah, and then you can actually look back through your journal and see and start, as you do it over time, you get to see how things are affecting you over the long term. And, it's easy to forget exactly what strain you might have used 2 weeks ago, but when you have it written down, to be able to go over that is so empowering. And yeah, more patients should do that, frankly.
Yeah, they really should. When it comes to cancer, though, you start medicating for a different reason, and my reason is to not leave my loved ones here. And, you know, to be here in 20 years and be able to share my story and just be a testimony to cannabis and to natural medicine. You're muted.
Sorry, I just noticed that. So you said that you were going to be trying infusing the FICO into the CBD oil for the neuropathy, but you hadn't tried that yet, correct?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, because there's a lot of evidence that the high doses of THC and CBD can do really well for neuropathy, including topically. So I wanted to, when you said that, I'm like, oh yeah, we would love to hear how that works for you, because there's a really good chance that it could really significantly reduce the pain. And for others who are dealing with neuropathy and those external kinds of pain, you can use very high doses of THC topically, and it's not going to get you high. So for people who are having issues with that, you can still use those high doses that might have that external pain killing effect without getting into the bloodstream and causing the psychoactivity. So yeah, we would definitely love to hear how that goes for you.
Most definitely. And then here recently, I got a Dauntless Health tincture from Silverleaf that is 5,000 THC and 5,000 CBD 1-to-1.
Wow, that's a big concentration.
That is this,
It
just so
is,
that
and it
you're
has
aware.
helped me so much. Like I told Allison earlier how well it actually is working and helpful. And she was telling me that was one of y'all's products. So
Yeah, I partner with Dauntless to do the Operation Zero program. I am incredibly proud of their product line. They have a double testing standard to make sure that they've got the same quality control through.
So how much of a dropper do you recommend taking for like neuropathy?
That is not my area of expertise on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
I can get you with somebody who can answer that question. I do know all of them, but I don't want to just.
Yeah, I would love to know. I've just been taking a quarter of a dropper because I don't want to get too like. Woo.
Yeah. Yep.
That sounds about right. I mean, something that concentrated, it sounds like it might be like over 100 milligrams per milliliter total.
Yeah, I dosed it out to be 166 a dropper. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. So 166 milligrams total per milliliter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm taking a quarter.
Yeah, so that's still a pretty high dose. Yeah, if someone who is naive to cannabis did that, starting with one single drop, not dropper full, a single drop would be good for someone who wasn't experienced.
Right.
And so you're finding that having because you've had the CBD alone and the THC alone, but you found that having the blend when they're together is really helpful for you.
Yeah, the synergistic effect of the CBD with the THC is just incredible. And honestly, when I started dosing my FICO, that's how I would dose my FICO is I would take, a grain or 2 grains and I would put it in a capsule with the CBD oil and take the capsule internally. So I would take a 50 milligram or a 25 milligram capsule wherever I was at in my CBD regimen at that time. And I'd pull it open and put a grain or 2 grains of rice in there and then put the cap back on and take it. And that's how I dose my FICO, because a lot of people, complain about the taste or, oh, it's too strong or it doesn't go away quickly is what a lot of people will complain about. But I mean, for me, I don't care. I'm fighting cancer. So I've tasted a lot of worse stuff at the hospital. So I'm great with it. It doesn't bother me, but it is a way to take it. And I think that the CBD does help boost the effects of the FICO. And I know that the FICO that Operation 2.0 makes is I mean, it's got all the terpenes intact in it, and that's what I love about that FICO. And I tell people this FICO is made for cancer patients. It's not just the whatever FICO, Joe Mama's FICO that you find out there. It is actually made for cancer patients. They keep the terpenes intact because those terpenes are so important. And I think the CBD and the CBG and the CBN and the CBA are all important components in fighting cancer as well.
Yeah, they absolutely are. And yeah, when I first heard about the $1 program, part of me was like, I'm sure that it's pretty decent, but I didn't expect it to be, super stellar at that price. But then I saw the lab results, and it was truly some of the best FICO I've ever seen in my life, with both the variety of terpenes and the surprisingly high concentration. So it's amazing what they're able to put out at such an affordable price. It just would be amazing if it was like that everywhere, but
I wish that it was. And my doctor, when I told my doctor about it, my palliative care pain doctor, she was like, okay, well, you need to be careful because, I don't want them to like bait and switch on you. And I've had patients that's happened to before where they end up selling their pain medication that I'm giving them in order to get their FICO because it's gone from $1 to $70 and they can't afford it and they can't afford their light bill and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, first of all, that's not, I've been doing it for 2 years and that's not what they're here for. They're here to try and help get this proven that it is a cancer treatment, and a viable cancer treatment and one that gives people quality of life. And that's chemo doesn't give you quality of life. I'm firsthand to tell you, Miss Reaction over here with everything they try. I mean, they almost seemed annoyed with me at sometimes because I was having a reaction to every, okay, well, let's try this. Well, let's add that and see if, okay, we'll slow it down. We'll water it down, and every time I'd have a reaction and they're like, well, it's poison. My body doesn't like it. So, she was like, well, I'd rather you eat it than smoke it.
I keep trying to talk while I'm on mute. Oops. I wanted to cut in like 3 or 4 times now, and I start talking and realize I'm on mute, and the moment's passed.
So, that's something I assured her, and I was like, yeah, no, this program is not. I'm sorry that has happened to past patients, but that's not this program that I've found. So,
thank you. We this is such a passion for us.
And I love you guys for it.
Like our entire team. Thank you. Thank you.
You guys.
Justin, do you have any?
What was that?
Have any questions or anything for me?
I don't think specifically. I mean, yeah, right now you're still in the thick of it, but clearly still fighting so hard. And and so as of the most recently, the CA 19.9 is going down. So it's great that it's going in the right direction, even if it might still be much higher than normal. The fact that it just, it's gone down like 20% in the past couple months, it seemed like. So you're on the right track, and already blown through expectations. As you said, your doctors consider you a miracle. So you're already doing so well. You're going in the right direction, and there's realistic hope that you'll continue in that. And it's great that you're part of the Operation Zero program. So that means that they'll be there to help you. So
yeah,
you have a lot of support.
The only other thing that I have to say to any cancer patient out there is when I got diagnosed, I named my tumor. And I named it Hagatha because she's a hag. And I did that just to keep the humor in it because that is my largest tumor and it's in my pelvis. And it currently, the last I'm looking at my CT, shrunk from 13 centimeters to 12.5. centimeters. So it's my greatest in size and causes me the most pain. So I complain about it. And instead of having to say, oh, my tumor hurts, I'm like, Hagatha's being a bee.
I love
Name your tumor, have some, so you can have some humor in your tumor. And just remember to smile through all the BS, because we're all just here for a little while. We're all in line. We just don't know where. And live your best every day. And thank you so much to the people like you guys who are out there for us cancer patients, fighting right alongside us, helping us through this journey. We wouldn't be able to make it as comfortably without you.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for stepping out of your comfort zone and sharing your story, especially since I know this is the first time you've done that. So it takes an extreme amount of courage
Well,
to be
thank you
vulnerable.
guys for hanging out with me, and I'm sorry about the crying there for a moment, but we got through that. And I appreciate you letting me tell my story for the first time here on Hope Fest.
Yes, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you so much.
All
All
right,
right.
can you see us well now, Sierra?
I can. Hi.
Okay, good. Nice to see you. It's been a while.
Yes. How are you?
I'm doing great, better than ever. In fact, now that I've been able to get hooked up with FICO Playbook, this has been amazing.
I know. Jamie is so awesome, right?
Yes, yes. So yeah, it's been great. And yeah, you've been going strong for years, continuing to help other people with
Almost
cannabis and
11.
Her story, guys. Let's take a minute to introduce Sierra. If you guys have never seen anything Sierra has posted or followed her story, you guys are seriously missing out. This is like the warrior mom of the century. She has an incredible story of how she fought, I'd say, hell on earth to save her child, and how she continues to fight for other people. She has a fantastic story. So this is Sierra. Sierra, do you want to? I know you like to take things and run, so I'm going to let you tell your story. And Justin, if you want to jump in and ask questions, absolutely do so.
yeah, I'd say just
Awesome.
let her run with the story. And then yeah, I'll jump in. But yeah, the story is incredible with Landon, your son. So yeah, let's hear it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jamie, so much. And first of all, I would like to say thank you to Jamie for putting this together. I know this is our second annual, and I'm honored to be a part of it and to continue sharing my son's story and hopefully inspire a few people that are watching this to take back their children's health into their own hands. So my name is Sierra Riddle, and just 11 years ago, I was a normal mom, just like everybody else on the planet. My son was 2 years old and was diagnosed with terminal high-risk leukemia, meaning it was not only just in his blood, it was in his brain, and he also had a tumor about the size of a basketball in his chest of leukemia cells. Landon was given an 8 to 10% chance of survival, even with treatment. So just like everyone else in America that has a child with cancer, we didn't know what to do. So we trusted in those doctors and oncologists that told us, we got this. Leukemia is 93% curable. We got this. It's going to be great. It'll be hard, but it'll be great. That was not the case for my son. Within 90 days, Landon was dying. He had lost 50% of his body weight. He could no longer talk. He could no longer walk. He was on morphine, Oxycontin, Ativan, Zofran, Phenergan, and it really just went on and on and on. He also stopped eating. He did not put a drop of water or a grain of rice in his mouth for more than 25 days. It came a very real point in time that these doctors came into my son's hospital room and told us, we are so sorry, but there's nothing else we can do. And he is not responding well to treatment. We're going to bring in hospice and make him comfortable. And you need to make memories. Thankfully, we had already created a Facebook page called Offer Hope for Landon, which is still into existence this day. And that is where we were updating people about Landon's progress, because as a single mom, I was really unable to keep up with it all, as you can imagine. So a lady that went to high school with my mother reached out to my mom and told her, hey, cannabis. And my mom cussed that lady out to the moon and back and told her, this is a 2-year-old child. What the hell is wrong with you? And that lady told her, you have got to look into this oil, right? I'm not talking about smoking weed, Wendy. I'm talking about cannabis oils, and it really can help. So thankfully, my mother then decided to go into a nosedive of research and brought me the findings. And we were both absolutely mind blown that this was literally saying it could help my son. So once they told us that Landon was going to die, we had actually already been in contact with the Stanley brothers, who created Charlotte's Web, the first CBD product. And they actually came to our home in Utah to meet us and Landon and to explain to us what cannabis oil was, what THC is, what CBD is. And when they told us that we were going to have to go home and meet hospice, me and my mother looked at each other in that parking lot in the hospital and said, I ain't doing that. You doing that? I ain't doing that either. All right, let's go. And we called them and said, hey, we're on our way. And we left from that children's hospital in Salt Lake City, California, and drove my son all the way to Colorado. Landon became the youngest American citizen given a medical marijuana card in 2012. He was 2 years old. And our lives were instantly changed forever. Landon immediately responded, as do most children, because they are suffering so badly from the toxic chemos that are being pushed through them all the time. They're not eating. They're having a very, very suffrage cancer experience. Landon slept 18 hours his first dose. It was incredible. And then he asked for food, and he hadn't eaten in, I can't even tell you how long. So that was enough for me to keep going. But then, you know, with blood cancer, we get a lot of blood draws to check the cancer, to monitor it. And all of a sudden, Landon's cancer was responding very well. So we decided to zip it, not say a word, and just go back and forth between Colorado and Utah and try to see if we could keep him alive. As time went on and Landon did not expire, his medical team wanted to know why in Utah. And we had already been contacted by CNN and everybody else and had done some videos for them. And we just asked them to please not share them until we were safely in Colorado. Well, they didn't want to do that. So they shared it and shared a little snippet. It was the Sanjay Gupta cancer versus cannabis. And my son's oncologist, who is also a research oncologist, which means she's one of the people studying to try to find a cure. She came into that next appointment and said, hey, how you guys doing? And I saw you on CNN last night. I said, ma'am, please don't call the law. She said, Sierra, I'm not going to, because I can tell you, I thought your son was going to die. Whatever you're doing, I'm not allowed to do it, but you need to keep doing it. And you need to get out of this state now, today. You need to leave this hospital and leave. So I did. That lady's name will forever ring on in my head. Her name was Dr. Afifi. I actually had a Chihuahua named Fifi. So I left and moved to Colorado, and thankfully Landon and I were then safe, or so I thought. The Colorado medical awesome folks at Primary Children's Hospital in Denver, Colorado, called the law on me. They reported me to CPS over a dozen times because I was refusing what they like to call life-saving medical treatments for my son, because I was not going to put him back on chemotherapy. Why would I? So I was investigated over a dozen times, and I won each time. And I even took it all the way to court because they wanted my son to do 4 years of chemotherapy. And in 90 days, he was dying. There was no way at all. So I wouldn't stop. I kept saying no. I kept saying no. I kept finding more evidence. I found Dr. Robert Malamud, who unfortunately is now looking over me. And he was one of the only men with a doctor in his name that was willing to help me. Nobody was willing to help me. But Dr. Robert Malamud was willing to help me and Warren Edson, a lawyer in Colorado. And both of those men went to court with me, and we were able to win Landon's right to compassionate cancer treatments. At that time, I dumped a box of 9 months worth of pills, chemotherapy pills that were supposed to be given by me to my child at home, on the table, and told those oncologists to eat my buns, that they're lying to all of America. And my son is not going to die. He's going to live a long, healthy life. So after that, Landon was then, this is Caesar and this is Rome. They didn't want anything to do with him. They didn't want to study him. They didn't want to see why he was surviving, why he was thriving. Landon now will have 11 years cancer-free next month. Landon has no disabilities, even though he was permanently disabled legally by those treatments. He can walk, he can talk, he can read, he can write, and he's very healthy. You would never pick him out of the crowd. He's never relapsed. He's never had a secondary cancer. He's never had any other type of health scares, except one time he had an ear infection that leaked into his brain, and we thought he had meningitis. Lord of mercy. But other than that, Landon has been very successful. The other sad part of that story is, even though I changed my whole life and went to Colorado, like I said, nobody would help me except for the Stanley brothers. Through trying to help other families and children, I sent their products to other states, and they kicked me out of their program. I couldn't let other kids suffer, y'all. I'm sorry. Zip codes do not equate to healing in my reality. So I was then in a very, very dead set race to try to make these products myself. So I did learn how to. I had an insider at the Stanleys that gave me seeds and clones and everything else, because they did not want Landon to die just because the Stanley brothers were trying to go to all these states and make CBD only laws. So, which they were very successful in, including Landon's home state. Thanks for that, guys. So I was then forced to make Landon's Health Hut, which is a CBD product line mainly for children with cancer. I know that sounds crazy, right? Even now in 2023, most of the CBD products on the market say not for the use of anybody under the age of 18. That is absolutely a disservice to people and children that are suffering. Good mothers read labels and want to do the best for their children. So my tagline has always been Landon's Health Hut CBD, safe for all children. I firmly, firmly believe that without cannabis, my son would be dead. He would not be here at all. There are a lot of children that have lost their lives because they were not allowed to have access to medical marijuana. That is not okay. That is something that we, the people, need to change now. More and more children are diagnosed every year with cancer, about 17,000 a year, actually. And all pediatric cancers receive less than 4% of federal funding. In fact, the number one funded cancer is prostate cancer. Only older men get that. Second funded is breast cancer. Childhood cancer, all of them, brain tumors, blood cancers, bone cancers, tissue cancers, all of them get less than 4%. So it is very, very unfortunate what's happening in our world, and that so many kids are being diagnosed with cancer. But I'm here to tell people there are options. You do not have to chemo your kid to death. You do not have to radiate them. After Landon, I've had so many families reach out to me, and I was able to help them. I have so many patients that I've helped now that have reached cured, that are living, thriving, and doing fantastic. I even have patients that integrate both chemotherapy and cannabis, which I'm more than okay with. My whole goal in life and all of this is to help children survive childhood cancer by any means necessary, even if that means breaking the law. So it has been an honor for me to not only save my son's life and learn everything I did, but then to help other people to do the same thing. We should not be gatekeepers of knowledge, y'all. I was just a mom. I'm still just a mom. I just happen to pick up some books, pick up some telephones, go to some conferences and learn. And everybody can do the same. But there are a lot of people out there gatekeeping information, healing information, saying that if you want it, you need to be a member of this group, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. No, you don't. All you need is seeds and the will. A lot of places it's illegal to grow. We need to fix that, y'all. All 50 states should have medical marijuana. But if you are finding yourself in a place that you cannot access it, I will always be here to help parents. just like the Stanley brothers originally helped me, even though they forgot about that, but I didn't. So I will always be there to help everyone that needs it, to help you get safe access. We have so many oil makers in all the different states now. So if anybody's needing safe access to good, legitimate cannabis, RSO, or CBD, please reach out to me and I will get you in touch with one of our growers, one of our makers. Nobody should be suffering in 2023 from cancer. My son is alive and well because of this plant and because of diet change and lifestyle change. You can do the same, even for your children. So, I really hope that what people take away from this is there's a lot of money to be made off of sick kids, a lot of money. When I pulled my son's medical files and financials, he was already worth more than $2 million in less than 1 year of those treatments, and they wanted him to do 4. So people that stand to make a huge profit off of poisoning our children really should be in prison. But here we are running to them when our children get sick. So prevention and education are key. You can start today learning how to prevent cancer, learning what type of diet your child needs to never, ever have cancer. A lot of people just don't want to do the work. But I promise y'all, when cancer knocks on your door, you have to answer it. So do the work now, get your children healthy, live a good, clean lifestyle, and let's try to get this pandemic of pediatric cancer under control, because that's really what it is.
Yeah, that's amazing. You've only become more articulate and powerful over the years. You've always been really well spoken since the early days, but you really, just the experience really shines. And it's been, truly amazing how many people that you've helped. I was going to ask whether Landon's Health Hut was still going, and that's great. That you've taken his experience and, you saw how much he suffered and what he went through, and you want to help other parents avoid that horror for their children. And yeah, it's amazing that you never stopped. Like, ever since he got sick, you were all in for helping him, and then very soon after, and helping others. And it's also amazing. Like, I think, son, you're the only cancer patient that Dr. Sanjay or Landon was the only cancer patient he's discussed. I thought when weed came out, and then I saw your story in August 2013. I'm like, oh, this is they're finally getting it out. And then it's like it just got shut down. He focuses on everything else but cancer. It's like you can't help but think there's some kind of nefarious scheme about not wanting this information to get out. So, but it's good that, he did get that story out, even if it was earlier than you wanted. But it raised a lot of awareness. Like, that was really inspiring to me when I saw it like 10 years ago now. And he's still inspiring people to this day.
Isn't that amazing how much time has passed? And, I thought about that as well. And why, more wasn't done. Right. But if you think about that time, Justin, the answer is they wanted CBD to take over the world, and they were able to do so. I mean, it's everywhere now, but that's because they started off here and branched off into only CBD, and they didn't want anything to do with THC. And, when they asked me to be a part of those films and to continue on, I told them no, because they wanted me to tell the world that Charlotte's Web cured my son's cancer, and it did not. Landon took 2 times the amount of THC daily as he did CBD. So I could have made a lot of money. I could have made a lot of fame, but I would have hurt children. The truth is, children need THC if they have cancer or epilepsy. Charlotte even took THC. God rest her soul. So, it's very unfortunate to see through time and space what happened, and that it was all about that dollar bill and pushing a product, which again is a great product. CBD should be everywhere, but not without its twin sister, THC. And that to me was, one of the biggest eye openers, was seeing the power that this group of people had and watch them misuse it for their own financial gain. So Sanjay Gupta and all of them, as much as I appreciate what they did, because they really disserviced a lot of people. We have so many states now that have CBD only laws, but never allowed THC to pass because, well, what do we need it for when we have this miracle? CBD is not a fucking miracle, y'all. It's just an ingredient in the cannabinoids. That's it. Just like THC, just like CBG, CBN, CBV, CBT. We could keep going. There's 108 of them. But one group of people took one of them and made it the holy grail. And that's not true. So the rest of us, right, have tried just tirelessly to help people to understand that you need that whole plant, the absolute whole plant. And, trying to also help people understand, Justin, that, it's not affordable. It really never has been. There's certain states like Colorado, Oregon, right, where they just have surplus, right? But everywhere else, it's not. Even in certain dispensaries, the RSO is still $75 a gram, $100 a gram. So it's just very sad to me to see that we created such a tidal wave that got stifled by greedy men wanting to pass laws and create, generational wealth for themselves, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And it really just hurt people. And so, that's my main goal, is trying to help people afford it. And that's why I started my nonprofit, Canamami, alongside my for-profit. So it's almost 10 years old now too. And I've given away hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in plant medicine, all to people that can't afford it. Right. But no dispensaries donate to me. No groups of people donate to me. In fact, if y'all really wanted to know the God's honest truth, Black market farmers are the only ones that have ever donated to me. The people that most people would say are degenerates are the actual people that care about people to give away things, right? But people that have paid into the licensing game, right, and all of that, they cannot even give you a joint without the state knowing about it. And the state doesn't give a shit if your kid has cancer. There was a very real point in time in Colorado that if you had your medical card, you could assign it to a dispensary, right? That's how everybody grew. And then, they could give you your allotment. So one dispensary in Colorado Springs was called Altitude Organics. I'm sure it's still there. Hey friends, how y'all doing? And they were an organic dispensary, right? Which was amazing. But if you signed up part of your plant count with them and you had cancer or your child did, they would sell you the ounces for 1 penny. That's
Wow.
amazing. And then the state came in and said, no, you don't. We need to make money too. So you cannot just give it away for free or sell it for nothing. You have to charge what it costs you to at least grow it. The state of Colorado did that. Not a group of people, not anyone. So it's been very disheartening to see, people want to make a change and put out a good product. The legislation won't let you. The amount of money you're going to have to pay for licensing and the this and the that, good luck trying to make an affordable product. So by working directly with farmers and being able to cross into that gray area, I'll pull up at a farm real quick. Hey friends, how y'all doing? I got a sick kid. I got this. I need 10 pounds. And they will. And then all I have to do is make it and go deliver it to the kid. So it's sad to me, Justin, that those of us that really have the heart to heal and to help, we're risking our freedom. That sounds crazy. So, and I'm not the only one that's this crazy. There are quite a few others that we need to have crazy camp, because most people are like, what is wrong with you? And I'm all, what's wrong with you? And if y'all don't get down to your local city hall and your local governor and your local senator and congressman's office and demand change, I'm going to keep having to risk my freedom. But if we could all get that going, I wouldn't have to keep doing it anymore. And neither would anybody else that's doing it. But how could I even tell you, Justin, if you called me from Utah, Texas, Idaho, Arkansas, Georgia, Alabama, we could keep going, right? And said that your child was dying, and you had already spent all your money going through all the treatments and everything, and you could not get to me. Should we let your kid die?
No.
I know, it's crazy that the world has it's truly, truly insane. I mean, this is some dark ages stuff where people are forced to risk going to jail and all that comes with that, just for giving people a plant that naturally grows out of the ground for the purpose of healing them, and that actually works. And then, but pumping full of chemicals and, and then the doctors see what that does. And then, even with Landon, they saw what happened with him, how he had bounced back, but they didn't care. It's like, how do you see someone that sick? You see them get better and it's so amazing. And then you don't care and you actually get angry they're getting better. Oh, you're getting better using an illegal drug, not what I prescribed you. Like it's madness. Like, and it will be seen that way. I mean, this is going to be looked back on as we think we're such an advanced society, but we are not.
No, medical kidnap, that's a whole nother enchilada, tell you what. But the amount of people that have never gone anywhere near this arena, they're like, what do you mean? It's my kid. I can do whatever I want. Really? That's cute. That's cute. Do you know how many kids have been taken away from their parents and poisoned to death with chemo without their parents because their parents denied it and said no?
Yeah,
That's
it's very common.
Yeah, there's a whole website called medicalkidnap.com. Y'all should check it out. Might break your heart though. And most of the time, those children did not survive these life-saving treatments that these doctors forced them to do against their parents' will. So, I agree with you. When we are looked back upon in history, they're going to smite us. They might even just erase us, like this whole little 10 years, 20 years that happened, 50 years, whatever, because it's insane, like you said. And not only that, it's asinine and it's evil. To give children that are 2 years old Oxycontin, but not a plant is a little much for me. It's a little much, right? And, the amount of parents I consult with now that their children did get through the treatment, right? But now they have so many issues. They're having to have organ transplants, hip replacements. I mean, they have so many health problems, disabilities, right? And then the amounts that get secondary cancers, not even relapsed, secondary cancer. And once they go in and find out, oh, this is from this chemo. When you were about to put it in my kid, you were like, this is going to save their life. Not, this could give them another cancer. No, you never said that. Oh, well, it was in that insert you were supposed to read. What? Well, you didn't tell me that. And they never will. Never will. So it's, just, it's a boil on my ass cheek at this point, Justin, that it's been 11 years. A lot of children have passed away. A lot of people have suffered. A lot of children have also made it through, like Landon. And we're still going back and forth on, is cannabis okay for cancer? Can we use that? Is that good? Why? Why are people so willing, Justin, to run to the white coats and the poison, right? Which again, let's just think about it. Their symbol is a freaking staff with a snake around it. Every chemo my son ever got had a freaking skull and crossbones, like, right? Toxic, poison. So why are we running to them?
It's all like, I mean, that's how we grow up.
That it's bad.
It's how we're taught. People are taught that doctors, they know everything that's best. And if they say something, then you're not right for having the gall to disagree. That's just how society is.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah, very, especially because, I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if they weren't so wrong. It's just and obviously they do a lot of good and it's not all bad, but obviously there are cases where it's horrible, where they kidnap children and then give them toxic drugs and then they pass away. So it's a mixed bag. Cannabis needs to be integrated as a mainstream frontline treatment, especially for children who can't tolerate many conventional therapies as well as adults.
Exactly. And Justin, my whole goal has been for the longest time, if we can just get them to incorporate it together, right? Together. Do you know how many people and children have used cannabis with chemo and done the entire treatment, but were never sick? Brave Michaela is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was incredible. That girl did the entire chemotherapy plan for leukemia. She was never in the hospital, never needed a blood transfusion, never needed a platelet transfusion. My son needed more than 50. She was never put on a narcotic. Never. Not one time. Like she sailed through. She never went inpatient. She was hardly ever neutropenic, which means your white blood cell count goes below the safety threshold and you'll die from the common cold, right? None of it. She did just fine. Now she did lose her hair and stuff, right? But that's a known thing because it's the fastest growing cell. But other than that, how did that girl sail through that? Well, I'll tell you how. Her parents got her a medical marijuana card within the first week of her being diagnosed. She never took any damages. She's never relapsed. She's never had a secondary cancer.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Can we please just give it to all the kids? All of them? I mean, I'm sorry that chemo didn't work for my son and radiation. I really am, right? But that's, 93% success rate, they say. So my son was what, 7? The 7%, which he does matter. Why can't we get it to 100%?
Yeah.
And Brave Michaela is the best living testimony of that. It was incredible to see, and to still see her now not have to have bone issues from the steroids, not to have organ transplants, not to be sickly, not to grow. I mean, you'd never even know that girl had cancer. That's incredible. So if anything, as soon as the kids are diagnosed, can you please just give them the fucking cannabis? Please. So they don't ever have to become like this. Just give it to them. Just give it.
Yeah.
Please, for the love of God. Right? And if we could do that part alone, I think our chances of survival would skyrocket. I think our cured would skyrocket. I think our chances of no secondary cancers would skyrocket. But because I'm just a mom, nobody wants to listen to me.
It's so true, though. I mean, even with conventional treatments, the cannabinoids dramatically reduce the side effects, help with enhancing their effects, possibly enable lower doses. And also, so many people are afraid of giving THC to children when it doesn't hurt children. And in fact, they seem to be able to tolerate it more than adults, frankly. They don't get the freak out, oh, I'm so afraid of being high that so many adults have. Like, they don't have any of that.
And that was a big question I got asked a lot back then, right? Was, oh my God, is he not high? And I'm all, do y'all not think he's high on Oxycontin? You don't think he's high on morphine? You don't think he's high on Ativan? And he's taking all of them at the same time. In fact, Landon would have such bad reactions to those drugs and the high that he would pick his skin. Like pick, right? Because he had anxiety from being so high. So I'm like, you guys have got to understand that, this is the same concept of, let me come over there, Justin, and break your leg, okay? And give you pain pills. You're not going to get high. You're going to get out of pain. Now, same thing with cannabis, right? But now let me just happen upon you, just a normal day. Hey, here's a Percocet, buddy. You're going to the moon. So when you have a need for cannabis, you will not get high like that. You are utilizing it and it's going to all the different places in your body. And if you have anything left over for a high, hallelujah, amen. But usually you don't. And with children, I will say, everyone asks, Sierra, what's the side effects? And I tell them, oh my God, hungry, happy, sleepy. But it might be very exaggerated. Like they might eat you at a house and home and laugh hysterically doing it. They might sleep for 18 hours. Go look up the side effects of morphine, Oxycontin, Ativan, Xanax, any of them. Not hungry, happy, and sleepy, my friends. So I understand that cancer is scary. I understand that children having cancer is even scarier. We have nothing to be afraid of when a lot of us have already done the work. We were scared too, but we still had to keep our feetsies moving, right? So now that the work has been done, all people have to have, Justin, is a little faith. And they won't, but they have all the faith in oncology and chemotherapy and radiation and narcotics. So I guess we're to the point now, Justin, God bless them on their journey. But the ones that do want help with plant-based medicine, holler at your girl. I'll help you out.
I know it's a shame that more people don't have faith in the plants that nature has provided us. They just think that there's no value. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who literally think that all herbal medicine is a scam and that it has to be a pharmaceutical to work. There's a lot of people out there like that. And
isn't that funny to think? Like, oh wow, dear. Oh.
Yeah,
drank all the Kool-Aid.
it's like a scientific egotism kind of thing. I mean, and
But
there is
I
value
will
to it,
say
but
on that part, we know a lot of professional people in life, right? The only people that tell you what their job is doctors. They really think they're God. Hi, I'm Dr. Sierra. When have you ever heard I'm massage therapist Sierra? I'm plumber
yeah.
Sierra. I'm teacher Sierra. Never. I'm lawyer Sierra. I'm nail salon Sierra. Never. Hey, I'm Sierra and I'm a model. Maybe like that if you ask what they do. Not I'm model Sierra. Never. But every time you meet or see or hear, oh, hello, this is Landon Southwood. How can I? This is Dr. So-and-so. Oh, hi, it's nice to meet you. Oh, hi, I'm Dr. Justin. I'm all, oh, geez. Why do they do that? Because they have this complex. They have this superiority that they believe what they learned through pharmacopoeia means that they're a healer. And they're not anywhere near a healer. Most of them cannot heal anything, and they can't help you heal yourself either, because they only know about poisons. I would rather trust a chiropractor with my life than an actual MD, because they did the same amount of time in school. One just learned all about my body. One learned all about pills and surgeries.
Yeah, it's if there's one thing this Hope Fest has taught people, I hope it's that plant medicines, nutrition, and breathing and frequency, there's so much that you can do with these non-invasive and very powerful tools.
Very much
and
so.
yeah, we're all working in our own ways to get that out there, and it's a powerful family we have here.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you're now a part of it. And I don't want to keep you guys too long. I know we've got more amazing people after me. But thank you, Justin, for taking your time today to be here and facilitate. I really appreciate that. It's such an important thing for us to do for humanity.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for being here too. You're a really powerful presence. I'm sure that I can't wait to see the reaction to this one.
Well,
Sarah's
thank you. And if
always one of
anybody
my
wants
favorites.
to follow Landon and his story, his Instagram is Team Landon and Cannabis. And it'll just really blow you guys' mind to see how healthy he is now. And our website is super easy. It's cbdforall.org. And again, if any parents are having a hard time, please reach out. I'm always here for y'all. I was there too.
Well, thank you so much for coming on with us, Sierra.
You're welcome. Thank you for doing it, girl. You're the best.
All right. Well, that is, man, Sierra, something else.
Yeah, that was I knew that was gonna be fun. I was looking forward to it, but she's even more lively than before somehow. Like,
yeah, so Sierra is one of the reasons I do what I do. That woman inspired me